Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV. And this is another comments reply video. I know it's a long time since I did one before, isn't it? Apologies for all of you who've waited a very, very long time to get replies to your comments. I'm sorry about that, but I've had so much to do. And well, you may notice a slightly different surroundings behind me. I have in fact moved. This is one of the reasons I haven't done a comments reply video for ages. I actually moved house. Well, no, I haven't moved house. I've moved rooms. I'm actually in Jelly's old room. I'll do another video showing you around in a bit more detail. But I'm still sort of moving in and unpacking and things like that. And luckily, I've only got to go across the corridor to get to my old room. So I'm sort of like just transferring everything to my new room. This is a nicer room actually. It's a lot bigger. Got a lot more space. No extra rent either, which is nice. It's the same rent. It does smell a little bit of Jelly's curry, but hopefully it won't for long. Well, now I've moved in, it will soon start smelling of me, which is an awful lot nicer. So anyway, a large number of comments to get through. I probably won't be able to get. Well, I will be able to get through them all, but it may take. I may have to do it like in 2 sessions, just because there's a limit to what I can sort of like get through, if you know what I mean. So I might have to do a little bit for a couple of hours, then stop and do more tomorrow, and maybe upload it. I was hoping to upload it tonight. I might have to upload it tomorrow. Depends how long it takes me, basically. But thank you to everyone who's commented in the last few videos since, was it the late March when I did my last comments reply video, I think, wasn't it? I think it was like bloody... Oh, it was ages ago. Ages ago. Oh, not to worry, not to worry. I'll, when was it? I think it was quite a while back. Oh, yeah. Yeah, quite a while. Oh, it's, I think, yeah. Here we go. I've got to satisfy my curiosity. Hope you've been alright, everybody. Hope you've been alright. It's been nice that, yeah, I've got to go all the way back to the 29th of March. Bloody heck. So there's all these videos. There's like everything from the Westminster attacks to Au revoir la France. Was that? No, sorry, that's on VidMe. But yeah, that includes Au revoir la France and Ditch the Tinfoil Hat on YouTube. So there's a large number of videos I've made since then, so a vast number of comments. Now, as always, there's a couple of videos I'm getting so many comments on them that I can't actually reply to them because there's too many. There's just too many comments on the videos. It's just, as always, it's is Paul McCartney dead? And Get a Job, You Lazy Scroungers. Those two I can't reply to the comments because I'm still getting like about 5. I'm getting about like 5 a day or something. So I'm sorry about that. If you put a comment on that video, I can't reply to you. But I'll start anyway with a comment on an old video. Peter Fenwick, MBA Destroyer. This is from a person who's called Rafyu. If I pronounced that correctly. Balls and Skull. Do you have a form of autism, or are you controlled opposition like Ike? Have a look at Nikola Tesla, whose many quotes include, to understand the universe, think light, sound, frequency, vibration. I'm guessing using the term crutch for people to get through life listening to Fenwick, that you're a Dawkins bummer. Stay positive now. Nia. I'm not sure what you're on about, actually. I mean, maybe you didn't understand the point of the video. I'm not a Dawkins bummer. I was taking the mickey out of people like Richard Dawkins. That's the whole point. Maybe my comedy style is a bit too subtle for you. I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to dumb myself down and appeal to the lowest common denominator. I treat my viewers as intelligent intellectuals who are capable of more than one-dimensional thinking. And controlled opposition like Ike. Oh no. Just watch my video. Is it cool to be anti-Ike? Yeah, are you controlled opposition? Are you a shill? Oh yeah, a shill shaming. And do I have a form of autism? No, I don't think I do. Although some people might agree. So I'll put a little. What I'm doing is when I reply to your comments, I'm putting a timestamp on them again. Except I'm having to stretch it out a bit. The 15-minute, every 15-minute timestamp is just too much. It's going to be every 30 minutes. Okay, so it's basically the timestamp will say that when your comment will be answered to within 30 minutes within this video. Okay, I hope that's sufficient. I'm sorry I can't. Every 15 minutes is just too difficult, so I'll just put a comment there. There we are, and there he is. Okay. Right, so next one. This is on the old comment, the last comment reply video. Tashmag91 says, "Hi Ben, thanks for clearing up the bread question. Now I want to know what posters are on your wall behind the bread. They look interesting." Well, thanks Tashmag, but I've moved house since then. I haven't actually put. I've got some of my new posters, my posters up on my new walls, but I haven't got them all up yet. What I'll do is I'll do a little video showing you around my new room at some point. But I have actually managed to get the posters down off the walls of my old room, and I'm going to put them on my new room, on the walls of my new room, pretty soon, and I'll show you them. Now, as for the bread, you mean the bread that was on the cabinet behind me? Yeah, I mean, that's. Do you want to know why that was? Well, obviously it was to eat, wasn't it? But thanks for that comment. Right, GS Evolved. Hi GS. GS is on the HPANWO forum as well. This is also on the last comment reply video. Cheers Ben, YouTube has been having some issues non-stop recently. No worries, good post. Thanks. Thanks GS. I've got some just comments to approve there. Okay, just approve those. Some of your comments will go into my spam folder. Well, it just says likely spam. So I'm just, come on, oh that's it, right. Come on, that's Snarnock. Come on, Snarnock's comments there. Come on. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so if they go into the spam folder, I will put them into the published comments folder. Okay, okay. So right. So thanks, GS Evolved. Did I put a tag in there? I think I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay. Right. This is Books on My Shelf Part 2, and this is from Scott Vince. Here we go. Yeah, thanks Ben. Keep up the good work. I will, Scott. Cheers. I'll just put a smiley face in there. I will put actual replies in text if people are just saying thank you or something like that. I will not make you wait half an hour for me to acknowledge your thanks. I'll just say it right there and then. Right, Pringle the 123 says on UFO Disclosure, Obama's Last Chance. Oh, there's a long conversation here, going back 4 months, including Fu Man Boobs, Johnny Danger, Spirit Horse, and McFC Governors and JT Beto. Here we go. I believe in aliens, but come on, Society of the Triangle. I think that's maybe answering somebody else. I can't keep track of your actual conversations necessarily. And Pringle the 123, Spirit Horse. Oh, Spirit Horse says underneath, man, it's a doozy, as the Yanks say. It's a hoax. Go on, subscribe to me. I'll show you the way to succor you and me. Everyone else knows Illuminati stuff because of the net. God damn, I wouldn't know half these conspiracy theories. It's not for the net. Makes you wonder if Alex Jones, etc., are in on it. Oh, Alex Jones is a shill. Yeah, we have shill shamey again. That's the first comment was a shill shamer, and this one is too. Are you saying that what's a hoax? UFOs? I mean, I've been through that before. Why I think UFOs are not a hoax. But anyway, see my previous articles to that, my previous videos to that, and that's it. Right, Mark Porrett says on reply to comments here on last reply to comments video. He says, thanks for the vocal reply, Ben. I hope others on here will discuss the simulation hypothesis more now. I wish you had read a bit more through my post though, Ben, especially the paragraph about how video games are becoming increasingly more lifelike compared to the early days of video games. It's quite remarkable the advancement we've seen over the last 20 years. Well, Mark, I'm sorry if I didn't read all your comment, and sometimes some of them are too long. I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, I'm showing my age now, but I used to have a ZX Spectrum when I used to play games like Jet Set Willy and Night Law, and yeah, they're very crude compared to today's games. Very crude indeed. Another topic I hope to see you cover one day is the 11/11 phenomenon. Mate, I kid you not, I'm one of the biggest experiences of this phenomenon. It ain't attention bias. When you look at the clock, it's 11/11 every time. It's far more profound, and those ones are half of binary, which is interesting. More evidence the universe is digital, perhaps. Anyway, browse my YouTube videos and see for yourself. just how this particular phenomenon is with me. And please read the descriptions on my video, then they will make more sense. Okay, Mark, I will. I'll have a look at your videos. I have discussed the 11/11 phenomenon in my 2012 diary, if you check out that video. Okay, well, it's actually a series of videos. I made it in the days, I put all the different scenes up separately, because in those days you could do comments, replies. But I'll have a look at your stuff. Thanks very much. Edwardian lady, who says, I love these candid videos. You seem a bit happier, Ben. I'll just say, I am, thanks, EL. Glad you like them. Smiling face. X. Here we go. So thanks for that, Edwardian lady. I'm glad you enjoyed my comments videos. Right, UFO disclosure. What about Britain? Christopher Orne says in that. Oops. Oh, got some comments awaiting approval. I will just approve those. I'll just go back. It's easy to go back and start again. Right, 20 minutes or so, long bus ride. Has, yep, all the way from England. Don't think I've got money to. What was that after it? Bus ride there to why not? Scripted to death, bore, yawn. I don't understand, sorry. You saying the video was too long, it wasn't very well put together? Okay, well, suit yourself, Jonathan Ross. But I don't understand quite what you're saying here, so you have to write more clearly. More copyright trouble. This is another video I made. Right. John Smith says, what a twat. I know you are, John. Next comment. John Smith says, UFO disclosures. What about Britain? This is on UFO disclosure. What about Britain? No aliens, just military. 4 words. That's John Smith again. No aliens, just military. Well, do I have to go through this again about why I don't agree with that? I've talked about it. I think I talked about it in the video. I talked about it in this series of videos. I don't know which one. I've got lots of them. There's no soundbite answers to this subject. But it's not just military. There are aliens, okay? There are aliens. I'm not going to reiterate all again. Right, Crystal Vigil has commented on one of my VidMe video, Westminster Attacks, and I'm not even logged into VidMe. Wait one moment, sorry. Sorry, right, I'm just going to, Crystal, this is Crystal, oh. I can't find the comment, where is it? They deleted the comment. So I had a comment on VidMe and it's been deleted. Okay. On my Westminster Attacks VidMe video. No worries. Right. Crystal has commented on. Right. Okay. I'm trying to delete this. What's going on? So Christus Virgil has commented 3 times on my Westminster Attacks video on VidMe, and I can't see their comment. So they must have deleted them. They must have deleted them. And the thing about VidMe is you don't get a copy sent to your email. Right, so Caves Under Nottingham, another old video I did a couple of years ago. And this is John B. Geez, this guy's a slob. So are you. No, you're a slob, John B. It's just a non-argument, isn't it? It's just a mindless. It's just a mindless bloody. What's the word? Just a mindless insult. Right. Lauren McLean says on Bigfoot in Britain. I like that. I enjoyed that video. I think it was very good. But this is a reply to someone else. This is a reply to I think Monkey Mac. Put on 6 months ago, so I must have already replied to Monkey Mac's video. Right. Not sure about that. This is, well, Monkey Mac says Wes and Woody of Bigfoot Chronicles now seem to be thought of as fakers, and their encounter is a being made up, etc. This is always the accusation you get if people say, well, you're faking it. That's your friend dressed up in a suit, big furry suit. This goes right back to the Patterson-Gimlin film. I've explained before, though. I explained on that video exactly why I think the Patterson-Gimlin film is real. But Lauren McLean says, how long have I been videoing for? Sorry, because oh, not sure about that. Might want to check out more on that one. There was a debate regarding their credibility. I'm not sure what I think about it. Where I don't fault them, even if they earn money doing it, is their ability to make people feel okay about sharing their encounters. The more people that come forward, the better. It seems to help the people that share them. Well, thanks, Lauren. And yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, it's you've heard me talking to Charmaine Fraser before, and in fact, on that very video, I do an interview with her. There has to be an open discussion, and accusations of fraud doesn't help. And if they earn money from it, well, I mean, that still doesn't necessarily mean they're fakes. You know, it's an assumption that's very often made. Right, Lauren has put another video up on that same video, Bigfoot in Britain, and she says, oh, she's replying to Gan Nini. I remember I had a bit of an argument with Gan Nini, I think, if I remember rightly. But she says, where did you come up with Sasquatch being an ancient South American word for bear? I live in western Washington State on an island in Puget Sound, about an hour or so away from Olympic National Park. I'm pretty darn sure that's not the case. Sasquatch comes from European attempts to pronounce the Halokemian word sekek, which is a Salshan language. Halokmilem, which I think must be a Red Indian language. The language is a Native American one and found in southwestern British Columbia, Canada, and in the state southwestern British Columbia, Canada, and the state of Washington, US. The term is essentially means wild man, and refers to an extremely tall, hairy, bipedal creature. It looks similar to a man. That people have been saying they've seen and had interactions with it all over North America since the earliest documented accounts that I know of from the 1500s, and going back much, much further than that, according to the Native Americans. Well, thanks for the information, Lauren, and it's very, very true that the Indians, or the Native Americans, or whatever you want to call them, this was a part of their culture. They actually lived with them. In fact, I was talking to Charmaine about this, and I think we talk about the time that there was a time actually when there was sort of interaction, and they were much more open. And it seems that they were there before humans arrived. So when the first humans arrived, maybe a few thousand years ago, or some people say it's 5,000, some people say it's 10,000. They found a thriving population of these bipedal apes, and these apes were operating quite openly because they were at the top of the food chain. It was only when they came into conflict, and eventually they eventually were hunted by the humans, and they in turn attacked the humans as well, and there was a kind of war between them, that eventually the humans won, and the Sasquatches sort of went underground. They disappeared into the woods, and they kept out of people's way. And gradually sightings of the Sasquatches became fewer and fewer, and peaceful interaction became more and more rare. And of course, when European settlers arrived, that process was accelerated to the point where we have it today, where they just keep out of all human contact. They obviously have the intelligence to realise this. I mean, many animals avoid human contact. They don't have to be. We don't know exactly how intelligent they are. Whether they have a human type intelligence or they're more like a chimp or gorilla, we don't know. But thank you very much for that information, Lauren. It's much appreciated. Right, YouTube problems. Gary PR says, the opening ditty, don't give up your day job. What did I say at the beginning? I can't remember. It's so long ago I made that It's so long ago I made that video, I can't remember. Oh, what was it? Did I sing or something? Did I sing a song or something like that? I don't know how long I've been filming for now, because I stopped filming, didn't I? So I've got to apologise. I'm going to go on to the second tag in a minute, and I'll estimate it about half an hour since I started filming, and I'll go on to the second tag. So if this may not, I always do say approximately. I say approximately. Approximately between the 0 to 30 minutes. Okay, I must have... What did I do? Hang on. Oh, I get it, I sang a song in the titles, and it was a joke, because I said, please don't... Don't give up your day job. Yeah. Please don't flag this for copyright because it's a song I composed specially. Yeah, I remember that now. I remember that. Right, here's a... Right, this is somebody... Okay. Right, someone's posted a comment and then I blocked them. Alright, so I'll just get rid of that. Right, Julian Carver says, nice tune, Ben. Great vocals. I'll say, glad you liked it. Glad you liked it. Lol. Sorry, I annoy Slacker when people say lol, but I just did. Anyway. Right, YouTube problems again. Jamie. PewDiePie is annoying as fuck. I can't stand him. He deserved what he got. Think of it this way. If I start working for an American company and start making jokes about 9/11, you think I would keep my job? The fact is that now other YouTubers, even myself, have to suffer because that retard annoys me even more. Well, it looks like Jamie's having a conversation with someone I can't see. Probably maybe somebody I blocked. But he says here, why not wait till he's no longer working for Disney? Now, I mean, alright, it's a private company, alright, I understand that. But you see, the thing is, making jokes about 9/11, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't believe PewDiePie was making jokes that were in any way facetious or... I think his jokes were not really in poor taste in my view. I think his jokes were he was making some rather like out there jokes about the Nazis and things like that. But then the thing is, it's not what was done to PewDiePie as such. It was the precedent that was what was done to PewDiePie, which can be then applied to other people to silence them. And PewDiePie doesn't talk about anything really serious. He doesn't. He basically talks about gaming and makes some jokes. He's a comedy thing really. But people like me who make political statements and things like that, what happened to him can be used as a precedent. That's the problem. So your opinion of PewDiePie and his humour is actually irrelevant to the point. Okay, to say he got what he did just because you found him offensive or you didn't like what he did, that's not very sensible to think in those terms. Okay, because in a sense you give the pretext to whoever wants to commit the censorship to do it some more. And I do maintain, I know that a lot of people don't agree with me on this, Slacker certainly doesn't, but demonetisation is a form of backdoor censorship. It is a form of backdoor attempt to silence opinions. I'm going to go on to the second. I'm going to go on to the second tag now. I'm going to assume I think I've been recording about 30 minutes, so I'm going on to the second tag, which says, thanks for your comment. It will be answered approximately between the 30-minute to 1 hour point in the upcoming comments reply video. so I'll just delete that. Xylomet Outland. Hey, Xylomet Outland. Where there's a will, Ben, definitely maybe worth having an alternative platform so people get familiar with it as well. You're right, Xylomet, and I have my alternative platform on VidMe. I also have an account on Dailymotion and Vimeo, and a couple of, I think one other. I'm not sure, but I have uploaded a couple of. I haven't made any unique material for those channels, except for the VidMe one. There's a couple of videos on VidMe which I haven't put on YouTube, but it's worth not putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. As Computing Forever says, you know, it's you want to be a content creator rather than a YouTuber. Okay, so next one, Xylomet Outland again on YouTube problems. YouTube problems. This is a long comment, more in Xylomet style. Right, yeah. So I'm gonna right. I know. So I want to get to about 40 minutes on, and I'll change tags again. My philosophy is, in regards to racist, homophobic remarks, is to let people expose themselves. True, exactly. I'm all for free speech. That way, if somebody wants to make their hate known, then that hate can draw its own karma, cause and effect. That's right. Yeah, very wise, Xylomet. When we curtail free speech, there is a malaise that develops. It's toxic and will actually breed more hate. You've done it again, Xylomet. Very true. It's interesting that these corporations who want to clamp down are involved in affairs that are very destructive against all groups globally. Totalitarianism and supremacy can be found in all groups, be it left or right wing. black and all shades in between, to white, British, Americans, etc. However, you define the criteria to be one of those. Well, I think they use all I think they use whatever tools are necessary, Xylomet. I mean, when I was when I was a teenager a long time ago, increasingly long time ago, or when I was like a kid, it was Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister. We had John Major, and we had like right wing, and then we had Tony Blair, very right wing government. So therefore, left wing ideas had this veneer of anti-establishmentism within society. That of course is what I used to be, quite left wing. I used to be a trade unionist actually when I started out in portering, but it soon became clear that the left and the right in politics can both be authoritarian, and that's a lesson that I learned. Right, next one. Jamie says on YouTube problems. I think this is that's just a continuation of the same conversation. Now, Nick Cleek says on YouTube problems. Ask Styx Hexenhammer to shout out your channel. Have a look at his video about this. I've seen that. I've seen that, Rick. Yeah, it was Rick Cleek. Sorry, Styx Hexenhammer 666. Yes, the number of the beast. He's got a good channel actually. I like him. He's this sort of long-haired, sort of hippie type with glasses, but he's actually something of an arch conservative. But he's into the occult stuff as well. But he said he would, like, if you sent him, you listed your channel, he'd read it out for you. I haven't actually done that yet, so I should do. So thanks for that. Thanks for reminding me, Rick. Jamie, no, that's a continuation of the same comment. Jamie is talking to somebody. He's talking to somebody I can't see. So it's probably someone I've blocked. Right, Deborah Hatswell, British Bigfoot Report. Oh, now I mentioned Deborah in my British Bigfoot video, but here she's commenting on my YouTube problems video. She says, can you choose which adverts you have on your channel? I'm nowhere near monetized. I just wondered if it's adverts YouTube choose or YouTube what's acceptable to me. I think, Deborah, you have to just go along with their AdSense program. I don't think you get an option. I don't know if you may have a chance to opt out of some. I mean, it's something I've never tried. Because as I said, I mean, there was no point. I did a little calculation based on my viewing figures about if I monetize my videos, what would I get out of it? And it came to about 4 or 5 quid a week. It's just not worth it to put ads, these very, very obtrusive adverts on your video, just for a few quid a week. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I think if I ever get like 100,000 views on every video, like some do, it may be worth doing it then. But it's not worth it. It's not worth it with my level of attention within the YouTube community. And Grumpskull actually replies underneath. Do you choose what ingredients are in store-bought tomato sauce? They will just put whatever crap they deem appropriate for your meagre offerings. Sadly, I think Grumpskull is right there, Deborah. But I don't know. I've never, like I said, never got involved with AdSense before. Right, Chili943 on YouTube Problems says, I love the song, lol. Ever thought of going on X Factor, ha ha ha. Oh, I'd want to punch Simon Cowell in the face if I ever did that. But no, it's how long have I been recording for? Yeah, I mean, I need to do these comments reply videos more often because I've forgotten that I'd actually sung on that video. Oh, anyway, I'm getting through them. Reply to comments again. This is reply to comments 8, the last one. This is number 9, the one you're watching now. Elite 1980s. Hello, Elite 1980s. This is an old friend of mine. Hello, McFly. Seriously, Ben, this is the second time I have to remind you I'm not a her. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Apologies. Apologies. You're not getting mild dementia, are you? I hope so. I hope not. Oh, what day is it? I can't remember. Anyways, when you get more info on Bigfoot encounters in the country, Richard D. Hall did a UFO report some years back on aliens who abducted some children somewhere up in the northeast. And one of the descriptions of the aliens is that it looked like a Bigfoot. Link below. I do not know. I do know they're very private and it's very intelligent and power, yet very fast-travelling human beings. They can disappear at will. A big mystery who they really are. Remember, get the gender right next time. Stick a paper on the screen next time. It's a he, okay? Sorry, Elite. Mr. Elite. I'm very sorry. I know the video you're talking about. Now, Occasionally there are Bigfoot-like creatures associated with UFO encounters. There was a very famous one in 1965, I believe, at a place called Presque Isle in Pennsylvania, USA, where a UFO landed and this Bigfoot-like creature came out. So, thanks for that. And they, I'm gonna try. Sorry, it's not you boring me. It's just. All right, here we go. Gary PR says, glad you watched Dave and Sargon's content. Both great guys, both make good videos. That's right. Dave Cullen, Sargon of Akkad. I do like those guys. Now, Vrillon Aura's. Oh, right, that's a follow-on VidMe. That's all right. Now, Vrillon Aura has not commented, but has upvoted a lot of my videos on VidMe, which is nice. Thanks, Vrillon. I've actually met Vrillon, so I know Vrillon exists. He's not a bot or anything. Taki Zakura 123 says, sorry about that. There's someone playing music upstairs. So I can't. In my other room, you can't hear it, but in this room, the problem is I'm right underneath the place where the guy has his keyboard. So, I always Taki Zakura 123 says, I always thought anti-Semitism is what Jews impose on people when they want to shut down or get money from. Same with racism, a generic term whites are labelled with because that's where the money is. Well, Taki Zakura, I think you sound Japanese by your name. I've talked about this before. I mean, I don't think Jews are behind the New World Order. Okay. Now, the idea that in terms of racial politics and the New World Order, it does seem, one view, it does seem they don't like white people for some reason. I talked about this in one of my other videos I did called Get Out, a Film Review. But I don't believe that the Illuminati have a particular affinity for people who aren't white, and they just like people who are not, and dislike people who are white. I mean, I don't think they like any of us. I think for them we're all farmyard animals, as it says in Silent Weapons for a Quiet War, back on the farm with the other animals. So I mean, this is where I think people like Red Ice Radio go wrong, but and the alt-right in general. But I don't think it's, like I said, I've done an entire HPANWO radio show about Jews and about why I think Jews are innocent. Okay, so did you check that out? It's on. Just go to HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com and just look for just put Jews into the search box. You'll find my video on Jews. Right. DJ Butio says on UFO Disclosure 2017, Obama's Last Chance. Here we go. Oh, there's a long comment. There's a long sort of like comment here. It's the same conversation with Spirit Horse and the Pringle and everything like that. So I've already talked about that one. And oh, come on, like that. I just pressed delete and nothing happened. Just press delete again. Okay. Oh, there's Grump Skull. That's the comment he replied to Deborah with. And YouTube problems. Tom Stargazer says on YouTube problems. YouTube wages war on the so-called offensive creators. Secular talk. Let's have a look at this. He's given me a link to a video on Secular Talk, which is a channel I subscribe to. YouTube wages war on so-called offensive. That's true. I think this is. I've not seen this video, but I do think it's about this issue of how YouTube appears to be imposing restrictions on what can and can't be said on their platform. I'm sorry, this is something we're going to have to get used to. All right, there's the guy upstairs is a musician, and he has like one of these keyboards, and he plays jazz and things like that. And you can't hear it from my old room, but you can hear it from this room. So it's all part of living in a block of flats. I'm afraid we're going to have to put up with it. All right. Don't flag him for copyright. Right. YouTube problems. Dangerous Dan says. Here we go. Here we go. This may be of interest to you. More YouTube bullshit. Right, I'll just put that there. Am I ready to change the tag? No, not yet. Right, here we go. The slingshot. Right, this is something called Jurg Sprav. It's a video. YouTube may shut me down. I need your help. Oh, blimey. This is happening. I'm very, very sorry this is happening to people. I really am. I don't want this to happen to people. It's just the thing. I mean, it hasn't. I mean, I've had my issues with copyright, as you know. And the whole video I talked about there is about the copyright issues associated with my videos. 1 sec, I'm just going to check something, because I've had this awful situation, didn't I? Where I was including film trailers and just simple film trailers, and the Content ID automatic search program was basically flagging them. When of course people should be like, it's a bad way. It's a bad way to do things. I think it's an unfair way to do things. I mean, I had to like put in like counterclaims and things like that, and some of them were successful and some of them weren't. All right, next one. Great title track, Ben. It says GS involved on YouTube. All right, GS. Thanks, GS. YouTube problems, la 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 la. I even remember the song now. Yeah, okay. Right. Did Britain start the World War? So this is my video of Nick Collistrom's talk, which is a bloody, it was a nightmare. Okay. This is from Truth Seeker. I think I know Truth Seeker from somewhere. Jewish international bankers control Britain and have done since the Battle of Waterloo. The Protocols of Zion called for 3 world wars to bring in the New World Order with the Jewish elite controlling everything. Albert Pike, the 33rd degree Mason, who wrote Morals and Dogma, said the same thing. Churchill was a manic depressive, a drunkard who could not pay his bills and was beholden to the Jews. He had resorted to art fraud to pay his debts, and they knew it. He was their lapdog and he did their bidding. If he could have lived long enough, they would have used him to start the Third World War, but no matter, there are plenty of willing lapdogs queuing up. Right, well, Truth Seeker, you put a lot of points in there. The thing about Winston Churchill, that's a big subject. Some of the things you said were correct about that. But again, Jewish international bankers, the Jews and things like that. As I explained before, the Jews are not the culprits, they're not the enemy. Okay, that is, I think, is a distraction. It's the Illuminati, not the Jews. Okay, so don't take it out on the Jews, it's not their fault. But the Protocols of Zion, I believe, are a transcription of a real document. That I believe that the Sergei Nilis, the Russian who first brought the Protocols of Zion, he published them, I believe he was transcribing a genuine document. The thing what he did was, I mean, he kept putting in things about Jews, but I think he actually... I've done an entire article on this, okay, but I believe that the Jewish element was added later during the transcription by Nilis. It was not in the original document. And I've done an entire article explaining why that is. If you go to the main HPANWO site, hpanwo.blogspot.com, you'll see the article. Just put in Zion or something, you'll see the article I wrote about the Protocols of Zion. I also bring this up in my HPANWO radio program about Jews. Okay. So much information I need to deliver. It's like, well, I've had a comment on New Age. This is a film I made years ago. I think I did this about five years ago. It was a reply to Slaxer, I remember. Slaxer did a video called Toxic Spirituality or something like that. John Charles Nahundi, what a great name that is, said, "Yes, Ben, some beautiful mornings we've been getting the past week." Right. Well, I'm afraid Charles, or John, whichever you like to be called, this is actually a video I put up in October 2012. So it's an old one. You've come across an old video of mine. Sorry, mate. Did I put a... Oh, hang on. Because, I mean, I didn't mean to... This was one I did, but I remember this is when Slaxer did a... Slaxer did a really good video. I thought I had to say something to it, because I really... Slaxer's videos are just so good. I have to just say something. Anyway, and moving on. Right, I've had a comment on my Dr. Jonathan Reed at Rendlesham Forest video. This is one of the ones I was talking. This was one of the ones I was talking about in my YouTube problems videos. This was caught by Content ID and blocked in all countries in the world. And at least they didn't bloody put a thing on my channel now, bastards. Odd Job Dude says, "Damn, they took the freezer but they left the jet black moustache dye. I think you're making a joke about Dr. Jonathan Reed's little broom blade, aren't you? And he left the dog. Right, Reed left the dog as well. Oh, this is a comment on a big, there's a big long discussion here with various people. I'm not going to go through this. This is what I don't have time to go through this entire discussion, but it's between it's between about 3, 4, 5 different people. And I've got some comments waiting for approval. Okay. It's okay. Including someone who's contact time says UFO Watchdog is a joke site. It bloody well is. It's a complete and utter travesty. It's a pain in the bottom. It really is. Anyway, delete that. Right. Oh, Get Out, a film review. Now this is now Xylomet is posted on here. Where am I now? Where I'm up to? Okay. Race bait. It's up to people whether they take on this or not. Just the very fact it is generating the discussion I see in YouTube comments videos makes it patiently clear how vulnerable people are to a perception seeding. Ain't nothing changed but the weather, unfortunately. Sometimes I do not believe that the human race deserves or is ready to go into space to find other life because we do not even know ourselves. Well, that's true, Xylomet. In fact, some of the UFOs I think are trying to maybe keep us on the Earth. But yeah, I mean, it's the film. I think I gave it 6 out of 10 or something, didn't I? I actually think I was being a bit too generous. This often happens with films. The films I've been reviewing in this, I often give them a rating. I think I gave this a 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Get Out. On reflection, I give it about 4 out of 10. It was not as good as I thought it was when I first saw it. When I think back at it now, I can see some of the failures, including the nastiness, the nastiness about white people, the anti-white racism, which is what it is. In fact, I watched an interview with the director, and he was talking about this, and he was saying, "Well, I was actually, I think it may have come up in this actual video where I was talking about I didn't see it was probably the Guardian or something, where he said something. Oh, I'm just trying to, I was hoping to put in give a message out to white people. You know, you really have to be careful what you say and things like that. And this is all part of this divide and rule, cultural Marxist." Messing with our head program that I talked about before, and unfortunately this film helped with that. And of course, as I said at the time, it could have been so much better. The plot wasn't explored in any detail. There was no attempt to really make anyone understand what was going on. I mean, still didn't quite understand by the end exactly what they were doing. They were kidnapping black people and sort of messing and doing something to their brains. But who were they? Who were these people? All we knew is they were white people and they were evil. That's really the gist of the story. That doesn't explain anything. I know it means you the Guardian and go all gooey over you and they give you 5-star reviews because you're making a socially progressive statement with your film, man. But at the end of the day, you've got to make a good story, and it had good bits. I thought there's some of the characters. I mean, I thought the main character, Chris, he was good. I thought he was quite good. But the others were just a bit rubbish, I think. And same with that Viceroy thing. I mean, I think I gave that 6 out of 10. I give that about 4, 5 out of 10. I'd give it now. Anyway, here we go. Xylomet Outland again says, there are lots of good videos by black and all in between shades of human beings that have picked this film apart consummately. That's true. I've seen a couple of people talking about this. I've seen a couple of people who've reviewed it, and some people I can see through. I mean, a lot of black people actually, I think, understand this quite well now. There's a lot of black people I think are seeing through all this rubbish, cultural Marxism, things like that. Xylomet goes on. I suggest people seek them out instead of just complaining and listen to each other instead of simply taking a side. There is a side that is no side and whose perceptions are very acute and like-minded. Well, you're right, Xylomet. Yeah, I do think so. Edwardian lady says here, the irony is black on white rape statistics are so minuscule they're almost invisible, whereas black on white rape statistics are out of control. Well, that is, I think that's factually true. I mean, I think there's no doubt about it, that for whatever reason, you get black people are more likely to commit violent crime of all kinds, and that's not a, that's not a moral statement. I think it's a factual statement. And so there's been a bit of a discussion here between Edwardian Lady and Smart Dave, and talking about how US and other Western nations have murdered hundreds and thousands of brown civilians, and as if, I mean, an Edwardian Lady says, "Oh, that's right then. Maybe you can explain that to the next rape victim, Edwardian Lady. Or could you explain all the rapes to the next victim of UF drone strike? Both have a racial component, neither are good." And Del Boy says, lovely jubbly. No, he doesn't. He says most rapes and crimes are committed by most rapes and crimes are committed by white people. Doesn't mean that all whites are dangerous sex pests. Anybody can come up with figures to support their gender. So there's this argument here between Edwardian Lady and Smart Dave. But it seems to be a bit of a trade-off. I mean, Smart Dave is I think what you're trying to say is that one injustice is cancelled out with another. And I don't agree with that. I don't think you can't cancel out one injustice with another. All you get is a double dose of injustice, as I've explained this. I mean, one thing I would always say is if you don't have to fear people because they're a certain colour. I mean, if you're walking down the street and a black guy's walking towards you, it doesn't mean he's going to rape you or mug you. And don't assume that he is. It's just, statistically, it's more likely. But that doesn't mean that he should be prejudged as guilty. At the same time, I don't want to see any white people or black people being hurt. I want to see nobody getting hurt, or the fewest people as possible getting hurt. Crime is crime, no matter who does it, and that's a fact. Okay, so thing about the racial differences in crime, I don't know what causes them, because no psychological research has ever been done on this, or none that I know of, which is acceptable. But as it is, I don't make a moral judgment on people. It's just a factual thing. That's all it is. I knew there's going to be some controversy surrounding this film. Lee Cook says, I heard you saying you enjoy listening to Stefan Molyneux, which makes me wonder, if you listened to Mark Passio? I have listened to Mark Passio, yeah. The sheer amount of work he has put out there is immense. A 5-part thesis on YouTube, 6 hours each, on cosmic abandonment theory. I haven't looked at all that, no, I haven't looked at every single one. And he says, I've never been a fan of Stefan. I find him to be extremely arrogant and close-minded in many ways. And that matters for me. I don't know why Ben wastes his time with this guy when you can get just as good old serving truth slapped upside your face at 1,000,000 miles per hour. That's why I respect Mark Passio, his unwavering, no bullshit approach and telling it like it is. Very fucking admirable, refreshing actually, but then again, I'm sick of hearing pussies skirting around subjects constantly. Well, I like both of them. I like Molyneux and Passio. I think they're both good. And I don't agree with you. The thing about Stefan, he can be arrogant. I've talked about this before, about, when he had Fritz on. That's become a classic now. And he can be, especially to his callers, he can be, I think he's too hard on some of them. Smart Dave 5 says here, Stefan Molyneux is a total fraud. All he talks about is the state's use of force, but then defended the Walter Scott shooting. Was Walter Scott the guy who... Which one was Walter Scott? Was he somebody murdered by the police? I mean, Molyneux has actually said some things I don't agree with. The Michael Brown shooting in I forgot the name of the place, where a policeman shot this guy. He shot this young black man, I think 5 times, which means basically his entire pistol. He emptied his revolver into this guy. One of the bullets went into the top of the head, which means the guy must have been lying on the ground. And of course that's something. It wasn't, and Stefan said it was reasonable force. The man, Michael Brown, was a little scrote. He was a violent little sod. He was attacking this copper. Then the copper goes and shoots him 5 times. So that doesn't sound like reasonable force to me. But there's other occasions. I mean, you know, it's so. But you don't have to agree with Stefan Molyneux on everything. Okay, you can disagree with him on something. He's okay with that. I mean, if he gets arsey with you too, but he does get arsey with people sometimes who disagree with him. I don't like that. Right, did Britain start the World Wars? There we go. Right, there's a conversation here. Oh, I actually did reply by comment on this actually. Britain was a useful tool in the World War Empire, ex-colonial empire. It was about what? Money man, Jewish bankers, etc. Okay. EV2 Kura says, of course it's ridiculous that an entire ethnic group is responsible for the horror of the 20th century, but it's even more ridiculous to claim that a Jewish interest group didn't play an incredibly large part in making it happen. I don't think it's ridiculous to claim that. I think you may be confusing Judaism with Zionism, which are two different things, despite the fact that there's attempts to conflate them by the Zionists themselves. You know, so, for instance, people like Ahmadinejad in Iran, he's called anti-Semitic, even though he's an anti-Zionist. He's not an anti-Semite. And this is the same with Nick Colostrum, who was the subject of my film. But again, I've gone through this. I've done an entire radio show on this. Right, another one on Get Out Film Review. Oh right, this is where this is the conversation between Edwardian Lady and Smart Dave 555. And it's, yeah, so Smart Dave says it, so it all kind of evens out. Well, Smart Dave, you can't fight injustice by trying to cancel it out with another injustice. All you get is a double dose of injustice. I'm going to change tags now because I think I've come through the next one. Okay, so it's now 1 hour to 1 hour 30. These are estimates. You just have to. Some of them they may not be exact. So if your comment doesn't get answered, okay, I'll just go through this. Yeah, I'm just going to. Okay, I've just. All right. Here we go. Smart Day 599 on Get Out Review. This is another long conversation started by someone called Random. Let's put a little tag on there. Don't forget the Romans had white and black slaves, so did the Arab nations. That's true. They did. In fact, it's quite wrong to sort of to blame. This is another thing that the cultural Marxists do. They try to say white people slavery, white people slavery. Slavery is all things to do with white people. That's not true. White people did have some slaves, but compared to say the Arabs in the Middle East and especially in India, white people had very few slaves. It's actually white Christians of the British Empire who actually campaigned for an end to slavery. So again, I think this idea that white people are responsible for slavery and stuff is part of this cultural Marxist mind control, which is what I noticed in this film Get Out, to try and demonise white people, turn people against white people, make people hate white heterosexual males, make white heterosexual males hate ourselves, etc., etc. And which I think is wrong. I think it has a strategic purpose which is damaging to our mass psychology, to our culture. Smart Day 599 says Romans had a black emperor too. Did they? Random says no shit. And Smart Dave said, oh, Doffler has put a comment on here and then deleted it. Under American slavery, to be black is a slave. Your race defined your condition. Okay. And I Hate Google says, except there were free black folk in America who owned slaves. That's true, actually. I think there were black slave owners in the Deep South and other parts of the US. I mean, that's an also important point is that slavery wasn't confined to the Confederacy in the Civil War, in the two sides of the Civil War. That was propaganda that was used against them. And there was slavery within the Union side as well. A couple of states had slavery. And the US, since its foundation, when it was a colonial, had slavery as well. In fact, the Confederacy only carried on using. You see, slavery was officially abolished. I think 1805 was actually the date when there was an international law, an international treaty against slavery, which I don't know if the US actually signed. So you could say the Confederacy was only a little bit slow catching up. The Confederacy didn't do anything that everyone else was doing just a few decades earlier. There's like a Random and Smart Dave have a debate. Yeah, there was Caracalla and his father Septimus Severus. Were they black people who were emperors of Rome? Oh, I don't know anything about that, but that's interesting to go through. I'll have to leave that because that's a big thing there. Smart Dave says here on Get Out Film Review. Nice. Oh, this is like another conversation here. Blimey, I've really opened a can of worms with this video, haven't I? Simon Templar says, Ben, I totally get what you're saying about the white heterosexual male thing. It's like this whole white privilege thing that is constantly rammed down our throats. I agree, it's an attempt to buy the establishment and media to divide us as human beings and make us somehow hate ourselves for being white. I'm with you. I've never owned slaves. I don't believe there's an African American alive today who's actually been a slave. So why the constant racism narrative? I don't wish to get political here. Why not? I am. But I've long felt in North America at least, there is the liberal left that is the greater race baiter and divider, while accusing all the rest of us that we are. Just my rant. Cheers. Well, you're right. I mean, that's absolutely true. And the thing is, it is deliberate. It's done deliberately as a part of a mass psychological attack. It's psychological warfare, as I explained in the video. Now, Smart Day 599 again says, America has always been divided, if you hadn't noticed. Our housing, drug and education policy are or have been based on race. So division has already been accomplished. It's called racism. Well, if that's the case, Smart Dave, well, you're agreeing with Simon Templar because he's saying the same thing. You're both saying that America has been divided on grounds of race, and of course it has. So what's the difference? So what's your disagreement with Simon? I don't get it. Right, Lee Cook. All right, that's just. Oh, Lee Cook says here. Is this? Oh, this is just. Oh wait, we talk about Stefan Molyneux. Yeah, that's all right. That's part of the conversation. And that's Simon. Here we go. Now this is on Milton. The Secrets of Milton Keynes. That's an old video again. All right. Francetter. All right. Francetter says. Okay. Oh, there's a big long. People. I really rubbed people up the wrong way, didn't I? Here. Fucking hell, he can't even spell videos. No wonder he's an idiot. Well, oh, the spelling police are here. My goodness. Right. Okay. Francetter says it's hardly rubbish. It's been known for many years about the pagan connection to the design of Milton Keynes. There is actually nothing to be new said here at all. Christian groups in MK have been aware of this. The pagan priest Nick Woodley is a knowledgeable man, has been very public about this on BBC Three Counties Radio on Sunday morning's religious programmes. The owl referred to is not located in Midsummer Place. It was actually in the food hall in the car park. It's above the doorway of the south pedestrian exit near the Sainsbury's site. Nick Woodley knows a great deal of the esoteric origins and history of MK. A very interesting man to speak to. Well, yeah, I think I will actually. Where do I post my comment on here? I can't post my comment. Hang on, I'll just go to. Okay, I'm going to. Okay, I'm just going to post this. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong page. So that's interesting, actually. I'll have to check that guy out, Nick Woodley. Now, the owl, actually, I was talking to is actually a bird scarer. It's actually put there. They have an owl to stop birds flying into the mall, the atrium of the mall. Keep pigeons and things out because they see that owl there and they run off, thinking they think it's a real owl, and so they scarper. The thing is, birds are getting wise to this. They've noticed the owl doesn't move, and I think birds are starting to twig that it's not real. So the bird scarers, they're going to have to come up with new designs. You can have like owls, robot owls, that kind of flap their wings and move their little ears and blink their eyes and stuff like that. Birds aren't stupid. Right, YouTube problems. Raven Precept says on that video. Yes, YouTube is much more difficult to use than it was in 2005. You're not kidding, it bloody well is. Right. Ben, oh okay. Right. I hope you have negotiated. This is Raven Precept again on the same video. I hope you've negotiated the rights to use that music. Ed Sheeran's lawyers will be on your tail otherwise. Well, Ed Sheeran didn't compose that. I did. But is he what? Does he claim it now? Does he? God, anything's possible nowadays. I'll tell you. Polyphemus says so right on. Is that good or bad? Good, I hope. Right, Colonel Holt returns to Rendlesham. My goodness me, this is one of my most notorious videos. Right, David Keith says, great video, thanks. Just rediscovered this incident, and it's got my interest big time. I said, you're welcome. You're welcome, David. Going to put the all thing in. Glad you like it. And big smiley face. Right, that's it. Big smiley face there. So I do reply to people on text sometimes if they just make little quick comments like that. Right, did Britain start the world wars? Now Ed Kaler. Here we go. All right, here's like a comments waiting approval. Right, I just approve them. This is so damn slow. Oh, I'll just go back. Right, Ed Kaler, this person is called. There's a big long thing about here. Right, oh yes, at some point are you a Nazi, Ben? Oh, this is right. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm not a Nazi. Tazik Sakura is talking again more. That says about Taki Sakura, the Japanese guy who thinks it's the Jews, has put a quote here by someone called Aaron Carland. Can't people question here? Oh, this is Paulie Mack says to Ed Kaler. Can't people simply question history without being labelled? You're either a Nazi or an anti-Semite, etc., etc. Same old broken record. Bloody true. It is. Paulie Mack. Ed Kaler says, I was just asking. I wasn't judging. I'm a National Socialist myself. And Paulie Mack says, oh, I see. I thought you were having a swipe. Peace, Jude. Dude, yeah. Keith Richards says, disgusted with people who propagate the Paul is dead theory. And that you're posting on the wrong video, Keith. I've done another video about Paul is dead. And Ed Kaler says to Keith Richards, you are a Nazi. Anyway, I've replied to you guys there. No, I'm not a Nazi, Ged. All right. But I do agree with you that there shouldn't be these labels slapped on people. They shouldn't be, and they shouldn't be. It's these are just ways of attacking the. Attacking the messenger rather than the message. Right. Kimberly Clark, who's really she comments on a lot of my things. Like, her name makes me laugh because of course it's a manufacturer of toilet paper. But says sorry to hear this. Console yourself, it's their loss, and ponder. Did they do this as a publicity stunt? I've not even heard of the conference. Oh right, this is not actually a comment on one of my. This is actually a comment I got on Google Plus on one of my HPANWO voice articles. Because it's a long story, but I was banned from a conference. Oh god, that's a long story. Yeah, a bit of a weird one that was. I don't have time to tell it now, but I may make a video in the future about this. I've covered this on HPANWO Radio. If you ever listen to HPANWO Radio. Right, the sun is in the wrong place. Part 1. This is a video I made a long time ago, way back in when was it? 2010. Bloody heck. Imaru System says Nibiru. No, it's not Nibiru. Nibiru doesn't exist. I've done an entire video called Where is Nibiru, where I explain there's no bloody. It doesn't exist. Okay. And Barry Smith says here. Oh, this is from 2 months ago. I forgot to put a comment in here. Yesterday the sun set at 5:20. Today 6 PM. I'm in Blackpool. Right. Right, that's interesting. Did you get some film of it next time, Barry? It'd be interesting to see that. Right. Someone's put a comment on Gateway to a Parallel Universe, Part 1 of 2. Now this is another old video. Blimey, this is from, when did I put this? This is from 2011 I made this video. Julie Nicholson says, did you think your camera was a flag and that royalty was in town? Because you waved that camera about so much, I had to quit. Alright, I'm sorry about that, Julie. This was an old video I made a long time ago. I'm looking for ways to keep the camera steady now from now on. Okay, so apologies for that. It's an old video, bear in mind. Right, my comedy video, Professor Brian Cox Hates You. Will Hawkins said, "How and why the fuck does this have views and likes? Ugly, self-centered, and awkward as fuck." You're talking about me? Really? Oh. Hark at Jonathan Ross. Well, it's got 90 likes and only 13 dislikes, so you're in a minority. Okay. Right, a new video I put up called Counter-Trumpening. I put this up on VidMe and YouTube. Jamie Fairman says, "Thanks again, Ben. Great subject to talk about. Have a look at UK Column News, today's episode. They say half the waterheads missing their targets, maybe because of the Russians. Half the warheads are missing their targets because of the Russians." Oh, that was these land attack missiles, yeah. No doubt the Russians are going to be blamed for that, even though chances are these things weren't built very well, and they probably don't work as well as the American government will boast, because they cost about £5 million each, these Tomahawk land attack missiles. But no doubt they're going to blame the Russians. They say the Russians hacked them. That seems to be the standard thing nowadays. Counter-trumpening again. Hi Ben, just a little something people don't know. Rupert Murdoch has a vested interest in this subject through his role and shares in Genie Energy, an Israeli company granted oil rights in Syria by the Israeli government. Dick Cheney and Lord Rothschild are also shareholders. Oh, I didn't know that. That could explain maybe some of the positions that his newspapers have taken. Another one on Get Out Film. Oh, this is just more part of that discussion. Here we go. Counter-trumpeting again. Jack Parker says, "I sent a letter to Donald Trump this morning in the anonymous category. It seems to have been published and was listed on top, entitled Caught Between Iran, Russia and a Hard Spot. I spoke simply. Is it better or worse? And the worst enemy is complacency, nuclear accidental war as possible. Cause, emotion, basic synopsis of what I wrote." Well, that's good, Jack, because it probably means that Sir Trumpy himself might have read it. So, who knows, it might get through to him. But as I say in the video, I think someone's got to him. I think it's the old Bill Hicks thing. He's been shown the film of the Kennedy assassination from another angle. And he's been said, right, any questions? This is your agenda. It's funny thing about Trump. See, I think Trump is maybe overconfident because he's this hard-headed businessman. He's been in the world of business for a long time. You know, he dominates. People fear and respect him, and he's not used. He's not used to coming up with challenges that he can't meet. But I think maybe this time he has. I think he probably, maybe, in fact, almost certainly had no idea what he was getting involved in. He's become president, and when he put his hand on that Bible and took that oath of allegiance, he then became president, and then he had to look into the abyss. And as Nietzsche said, the abyss stares back at you. And I think he's maybe finally met his match. He's finally having to deal with something that he can't cope with. He's got a wife. He's got a young wife. He's got a big family. He wants to see that. He wants them to grow up healthy. He wants them to live. What would you do in his place? I don't like to judge him. Okay, here we go. All right. Diego Velasquez says, "Beware, Mr. Jones is reversing. Anyone could see Trump was New World Order. He has always shown his support for Israel and Zionism. He even presented a popular show on Fox TV. He's a friend of many characters involved in 9/11. Mr. Jones, Alex Jones, Chris Everard and True Frequency have lost their credibility with their support for Trump." Look, I've been through this. Okay, this triggered a long conversation between him, Raven Precept, Lee Cook, and those guys. There was a long discussion. It gets a bit heated actually by the look of things. Anyway, I can't answer every point on here because it's a very long conversation with long. But I have spoken on previous videos why I don't believe Trump was New World Order from the start. Okay, I have addressed the point you made about his support for Israel and things like that. There were signs to begin with that he was getting involved with the wrong kind of people. But I believe that Trump was, I think he was genuine from the start. but now I think he's been compromised. Since he became president, he's been compromised. I do explain why that is. I do explain that basically, if you claim that Trump was New World Order from the start, then it's an unfalsifiable hypothesis, and therefore it's a fallacy. Right. The Bill says on counter-trumpeting, good vid, Ben. I'll just say thanks, Bill. Good old the Bill 9999 who regularly comments on my videos. So thanks. I've just replied by text. Thanks, Bill. What's the time now? Okay, another 10 minutes or so, then I'll switch. I will switch. I'll switch tags. Right, Jack Parker says here's how the would-be mole would have done it. Here's how the would-be mole would have done it. Planted the gas, then gave the tip for high-value target, which prompted immediate response for opportunistic event as emergency crew and media were staged and ready. That is a possibility, Jack. I mean, the way the media portrayed this, I mean, Trump can't possibly have believed these news reports coming out of Turkey about the attack in Syria. He can't possibly have believed it. He's not stupid. He knows this. So that may well be how it was done. So I agree with you. Jack Parker says on counter-trumpeting, it's possible they made rationale that others would die anyway, a desperate gambit in a losing situation. It could, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I mean, should we give Trump another chance? I don't know. I'm not sure. Raven Precept, I think this is part of the conversation he was having with Diego Velasquez. Yes, it is. So, Jack Parker. I'm just trying to make sure, because I can't reply to everyone. Here we are. Jack Parker. Oh, Jack Parker's putting another comment on here. Could Assad have landed legally in that neighbourhood and a whole lot more missiles to annihilate a whole lot more people under the rules of high-value target? We make more into a silly game with acceptable rules of ethic, epitome of hypocrisy. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand all that. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what you mean. What that's Assad landing legally anywhere? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Jack Parker says we also have used high-value target rules to rule kids, women, all good. You mean the targeting of innocent people, children, women? If you mean the moral issues compared to that, yeah. I mean, war itself is not immoral. Okay, there's nothing immoral about by going to war. Wars can be conducted in an ethical manner for ethical motives. There's something called the Calabrian Pact, which dealt with this a long time ago. But basically, if, for instance, an army landed on the shores of Kent, we, the British people, our armed forces could go and fight them. Indeed, the citizens could as well, and shoot and kill them. And there would be that would not be a wrong thing to do. That would be a right thing to do. You could say that's a form of self-defense, and it is. That to me would be a just war. The problem is, though, that is very, very rare, that kind of thing. It's a big issue. I can't go into it here, but that's an extremely rare situation. Jack Parker on counter-trumpeting again. Jack, do you mind if I don't put tags on every single one of your comments? I think you know now I'm going to reply to you within this particular time frame, because you posted these comments quite close to each other. Numerous comments today in this final. Other possibilities that high-value target was what was going to be used on them. Ultimately, that's worth destroying legally. Are you? I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't understand. Lee Cook says, "Oh, this is part of the This is part of the counter. This is on counter-trumpeting again. I think it's part of this conversation. Between Lee Cook, Raven Precept, and Diego Velasquez. Okay, I'm just going to skip through that and that and that. These are all, I think, parts of this. This is part. I just don't want to. I don't want to skip comments that are not part of this. That are not part of this conversation because I want to reply to them separately. So, all right, I'll leave that. It gets all nasty between Lee Cook and Raven Precept. Edwardian Lady says, "Nobody's going to save us except ourselves." Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, I always said that Trump was not the saviour. It was just Trump was a sign. He was a good sign. I agree with you. It is only ourselves, and the more things are going. I mean, especially since the end of 2016, with as I explained elsewhere, Le Pen losing in France, it does appear that the empire is striking back. I've done a video on VidMe about that. Okay. Bowden says, I think the problem with Trump is that he is a contradiction. At the same time he's saying no wars with Syria, on the other side he was attacking Obama for not being tough with Syria. I leaned more to Trump in the elections mainly because Hillary would be 10 times worse. The US needs to build up non-establishment movements like Ron Paul's Tea Party. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, you're right. I mean, when it comes to, I always said when Trump won, I mean, imagine what would happen if Hillary would have won. This attack on Syria would be one of thousands of such attacks she would have done. She would have blown Syria to pieces and let ISIS take it over, basically. But Trump is a contradiction. He does say contradictory things. He always has done to a certain extent, which was a concern for me, but he's got worse. He's gone back on a lot of his commitments. I mean, what happened to lock her up, build that wall, you know? He's gone back on all these things. I think he's gone back on it because basically, as I said, someone's put the heavies on him. And he's not invulnerable. Just because he's a hard-nosed businessman just doesn't mean that he's invincible. He's met his match. He stared into the abyss, and the abyss has stared back, as I said. And this is Raven Precept again. Rachel SOJ says, God bless you, Ben. Agreed. Thanks for the vid. I say you're welcome. You're welcome, Rachel. Smiley face. Okay, next comment. Counter-trumping again. Julian Carver says on counter-trumpeting again, it's all very disappointing. Yes, I agree. I was hoping Trump would be different. He seemed anti-establishment to me. However, it proves you were just a puppet once you're in the White House or number 10. Sadly, Julian, I think that's right. I mean, if Trump, let's just see what Trump does. He could claw his way back. I mean, he hasn't launched any more strikes against Syria. However, there's many other signs that he's not who he was. He's changed. The honeymoon is definitely over with Trump. Definitely, without a doubt. Julian Carver says again. I'm guessing this could also be a minor strategic move by Trump's administration to gain some extra support in the US and outside. After all, his ratings and support are falling. Bombing an airbase is hardly a World War III trigger. The base was up and running again within hours. A lot of those 59 missiles fired probably just went into the sea. This could be smoke and mirrors. Now this is a theory that I've heard several people propose. Trump is playing some kind of strange four-dimensional chess game we just can't understand. I don't know. I mean, I doubt it. It's true. It was a very limited strike on an airbase. He gave warning beforehand. I think there were a number of casualties, but I think a lot of the troops were moved out. These Tomahawk land attack missiles are actually very accurate. They're accurate to within 6 feet of the target from thousands of miles away, and about half of them never reached their target. Whether they may have accidentally hit other targets or not. That would make it much more serious. It wasn't a world. It could have been though. It could have been a World War III trigger because it was an act of war. Le Pen made this point. Nigel Farage, Putin, they all made this point. You know, you can't, in a sense. There's no little thing. It was comparatively minor, but it still was an attack against a sovereign state. Could it all be smoke and mirrors? I doubt it. I hope so, but I don't think so. Tazit Sakura, I think this is part of this conversation on did Britain start all... Oh, yeah, that's that part of that conversation. Right, Xylomet Outland says on the counter-trumpening, I'll change the tag after this. Trump was a hypocrite and a liar. I don't know why so many people are shocked. However, I think he did not know what he had let himself in for. Even the most predatory free market businessman is no match for the real power brokers. Well, yeah, I mean, I know you probably saw through him before I did, Xylomet. But I agree with you. I agree with the last part. I don't believe he was a hypocrite and a liar from the start. I think he became one, and I agree with what you said in your last sentence completely. Even the most predatory free market businessman is no match for the real power brokers, and that's the thing. I don't think because he wasn't political, he didn't have the political connections that Hillary Clinton had. He's basically jumping in the deep end, and not into a bath of water, into a bath of a swamp of acid, basically. That he never had to. He had no idea. Trump, absolutely no idea at all what he was getting involved with. That's right, next tag coming up, because I think I've been recording about 2 hours now. So, oh no, 1 hour 30, that's it. 1 hour 30 to the 2 hour point. Right, Arak Seapoom, more copyright trouble. This is alright, this is another one. Do you all need those shells on your wall? Roaring Water Bay. Roaring Water Bay. Well, as it happens, I'm out of that room now, so it's up to... I mean, that room's... I don't think they're going to bring in another tenant. I think that room's going to be... It's going to be converted back into storage. The landlord has not said anything about putting someone else in there, so... it seems likely. I don't think we're going to get anyone else in there, so I will actually have a word and see. I mean, if he wants to use them for the storage, yes. Otherwise, I will send them straight to Colorado, and you can have them. I promise. Thanks for the comment, Roaring Water Bay. Daniel the Spaniel says, "Totally with you, Ben, on counter-trumpening." I'll put a big smiley face there for Dan. There we are. Daniel the Spaniel. That's Daniel Bostock, who you'll know from my Knots Roswell videos. Right, another comment on New Age. My goodness, this old video I made in 2012 has had 2 comments. Right, this is from Reeferman 420NL, and he says here, "Bad things happen because good people fail to act, and that's what this kind of New Age stuff seems to enable." You're right, Reeferman. I mean, I talk in the video, I think, about the Findhorn community, and I used to go to the Global Retreat Centre, which you see in this video. I mean, Slaxer makes this point. Slaxer gets more angry with these people than I do. In fact, Slaxer gets more angry with most things than I do. But all the same, yeah, I mean, it is like that. Now, Malcolm Browning has made a comment on did Britain start the World Wars? It was Edward VII who promoted the triple entente between Britain, France and Russia. The British had long planned for war with Germany for economic reasons, as Nick has stated. There was much more to the World War II section that was not told, like Churchill's motives and who or what was driving him. Right. Well, maybe Nick will discuss that at the next meeting. I don't know. If you could ask, I could ask Nick about that. He may be able to talk about that to you. I'm not sure, but... that's interesting. I mean, the thing, Winston Churchill was a remarkable person. He's certainly not the angel he's been portrayed as. And history has a habit, as I said, of making angels and demons out of people. If I was to say, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Winston Churchill, but you get this warm fuzzy feeling because they're like angels. They're these flawless angels. But those people all have a dark side to them. And Churchill was one of these people. The same way as if I was to say like Adolf Hitler, Genghis Khan, and Napoleon Bonaparte or something. Again, these are the monsters. These are the evils. This is the evil side of history. I actually explain this in the video. I say that history has a habit of making demons and angels out of very, very mortal and flawed individual people who have light and dark sides, just like the rest of us do. I make that point in the video. Actually, I don't need to reiterate it, do I? Right. Right. And Jack Parker. This is my new video. Free energy, a reply to a reactionary expat. Of course, the best indicator of low IQ is to assume the IQ test is flawless rather than subjective. We have to live with certain truths. One truth that I have seen is that IQ, as we understand it, can increase greatly, but it is but a snapshot in time. Usually the evaluation of assimilated knowledge combined with our objective evaluation as super geniuses, of course, of what IQ processing is. Learning skills can be learned, memory skills can be practiced. Unfortunately, the best examples of low IQ is to bomb a country without proper protocol, to make a sensational, exceptional presence, assuming other eyes do not understand ulterior and thus negating its purpose with the utmost risk at stake. That's an interesting comment, Jack. I'll think about what you said there, because yeah, I see what you mean. And again, I wonder what reactionary expat will think of that. Because he had this dark vision for the future, which I explained I think wasn't justified. Right, this is... Oh, reactionary expat himself has commented. Right, this is actually on his video, but just because I put a comment on his video about... Just to I put a little short sentence on here, and he says... maybe to some extent, but energy, though a big issue, is by no means everything. We need to look at the supply of all sorts of materials, as well as what is happening in the biosphere. Regardless of whether global warming is or is not happening, if we just look at the arable land per person, potable water per person, we're going to be in real trouble if this trend continues. Well, I answered that in the video, so I don't know, expat, whether you've actually watched my video or not. I did send you a link. Right, Jack Parker also says on my reactionary expat video, with your presentation of free energy material, a truly and courageously so ordinary to gifted mind should have an immediate paradigm shift of reality. A flippant disregard of your presentation would indicate the fear of a primate, a monkey, which is not exactly a locust. Well, I'm glad you liked the presentation, Jack. Thanks. But are you addressing reactionary expat there? Because I mean, I don't know if he's even watched the video. I did send him a link, but I mean, has he actually commented on this video at all? Well, we'll find out. I'll go through the comments and see if expat has actually put a comment on himself. Jack Parker also says his expats' borderline ethnic cleansing parallels are very difficult and should be for you to address euphemistically. Perhaps he misspeaks or his words control the thoughts too much. Hopefully I wasn't listening because I was working. I'll have to listen again much later. Well, are you talking about the original video? Because I did put a link to expat's video in there. There we are. Right. Another one here, Jack Parker, talking, I don't need to put another tag in. There are lines of principle we should not cross: faith in humanity, ability to have evolution of understanding, and without words people comply, if not willfully, genetically self-enforced. Possibly we might have to endure a horrendous buffer before such an automated natural response. The way it's going, Jack, I think we are heading for a rather unpleasant transitional period. It's because we've been waiting for disclosure a long time, and I know that. I know how impatient some people are getting, and I'm starting to feel it more and more. If willing disclosure is really such a taboo, would the Illuminati just... I think they would actually just... They'd rather die than give it to us. Because they know it'll be all over for them if they ever disclosed. And I think they'd rather it was all over. I think they'd rather it was all over for them in this way. In other words, well, it wouldn't be all over for them because then they're planning this to rebuild their New World Order. But how could they possibly build their New World Order with disclosure? I mean, this is a question I've had to bring up when I'm writing my novels. I'm writing a sequel to Roswell Rising at the moment, and I'm trying to find the time to do it. Yeah. These are questions I'm going to have to ask myself in writing my book, my new book. Now, Smart Dave, I think this is this is back on Get Out, and this is just a conversation between Smart Dave and Random. So that's it. Yeah, there's a long conversation between Smart Dave and Random. Right, Ruluth has written on counter-trumpening. There we go. Oh, this is a long one. Trump warned the Russians about the attack, giving them time to get their people out of harm's way. The missiles weren't all that effective. The runway was operational again within hours. Some jet fighters were still intact. This makes it likely they were carrying relatively small payloads of explosives. That's true. There was no damage done to the runway. The Americans, these missiles fired by the Americans can have munitions specially designed to break up runway surfaces. And obviously these missiles didn't have one. These missiles were targeted at bunkers containing supposed chemical weapons. Trump did this as a grand gesture. To show he was not as weak as Obama when it comes to red lines, to prove that he was not in the pocket of Putin, to impress the Chinese president. Right. That's interesting. This goes back to the four-dimensional chess game here. Xi Jinping was his guest in the USA at the time, that he's a man willing to strike at North Korea if China doesn't get involved in dealing with North Korea, or else Trump takes unilateral action. The number of Tomahawk missiles fired into Syria is significant, or should I say symbolic, 59 of them. He was telling China and North Korea it is 11:59, or 1 minute to midnight. That's really... So the number of missiles actually fired is... There's actually it's encoded with this hint. Further development of nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles by Kim Jong-un will result in full-scale military action. What worries me is Trump is going back on his word for fighting ISIS and then launching an attack against Assad, a man who may be a cruel tyrant, but he can't be worse than ISIS. The civil war is being prolonged by all these outside powers interfering. It could have been over by now, but the pain and misery goes on. The civilians are like pawns in other people's power games. So what's new? The globalists care little for them. They don't care anything for them. And will do anything to gain control or destroy a state that is an obstacle to their aims. Oh, Rulu, thanks. That's an interesting comment. I have to think about that. Carl Munford, hi Carl. He's posted on counter-trumpening. When I considered everything Trump said in his campaign and compared it to what Clinton was saying, I gunned for Trump wholeheartedly. My mistake was that I believed him. It seems to me that we're in a place where it is just about impossible to make informed decisions regarding politicians and their campaign promises, as you can't believe the word they say. Well, that is a... Well, Carl, I mean, maybe that's the case. I hope not. Right, knowing das Ein, sounds German, said on Free Energy my Free Energy Expat video, and they started a conversation. No, there's two comments. Sorry, two comments here from knowing das Ein. Oh, I actually replied by text here. Yeah, I put a very, very long reply by text. I'm not going to reply here, but you can read the comments for yourself on that video, because I did actually reply by text, and I disagreed with him considerably. So have a read of that. Right, Diego Vasquez says on Free Energy reply to Expat, he sounds like another New World Order Nazi. The real problem on this earth is that the few control most of the wealth, resources and knowledge. Rida Ben-Sharif should offer his life to help solve world population problems. Not Rida Ben-Sharif, Diego. How about Bill Gates? Come on, Bill. Bill Gates is one of the biggest consumers on earth. So he's probably got the carbon footprint of a mammoth. So Bill Gates, chuck yourself off a cliff, shoot yourself. Set a good example. Don't just preach and expect other people to do it. Alright, Contact Times is just put on by Mark Linus at Oxford video. Oh, there's comments waiting for approval. Alright, I'll just approve those. It's one by Diego Velasquez. I'll talk about it in a minute. This is another video. This is another pre-video I made before then. How am I doing for time? Cool. Just like that vast tax-free giant Greenpeace, another suspect that claims a monopoly on collective facts, yet has one brain cell when his attention is drawn to Fukushima. Contact Times. You know, that's really, really not fair. It's really not fair. Claiming that Mark Linus has just one brain cell and has a monopoly on collective facts. You're being much too kind to him. Right, knowing Design, yeah. New comment on, alright, this is UFO disclosure. What about Britain? Yeah, this is my latest UFO disclosure 2017 video. Steve Nash says, Clinton would have said jack shit regarding any truths on anything. Absolutely. Funny enough, I actually met Steve Bassett a couple of weeks ago because he was at the UFO Truth Southern Conference, which I went to. This was the weekend before I moved. Had a long conversation with him about this. He's still very, very anti-Trump, extremely. And I had a bit of a talk. We had dinner afterwards. We went to a restaurant, actually, had dinner, all of us, and I had a conversation about this. He's basically given up on the United States now, and I'll say more about this in my next UFO disclosure video. Well, no, what I'm talking about. I actually said it in this video. But yeah, he's given up on Britain now. So he's given up on the USA. He's just travelling to other countries now. He says the USA is in chaos. Now, reactionary expat. Right. Now this is a conversation with Random and Edwardian lady is replying to Doffler Aspie, but I can't see him. Doffler Aspie hasn't commented yet. That's strange. I thought something was a bit odd. I haven't had any comments from Doffler Aspie. Anyway, Random says Muslim families are having many babies and will prop up any lack of traditional British babies. And Edwardian lady says that's the problem. Yes, it is. Now, what you're talking about here is basically population replacement, and this is an issue. This is a part of the Kalergi plan for the European Union, because he talks as long ago as 1920 in his book Pan Europa, which basically laid out is basically a plan for the European Union, which of course has come true. That white European peoples would have to be basically exterminated and replaced by. He talks about Egyptians. We'd have to be like the Egyptians, in other words, a mixture of racially mixed or something like that. And he planned to do this by genetic engineering, basically. Now, I think that seems to be happening in the sense that because the Middle Eastern people, the Middle East is kind of like the crossroads of the world. So they're the most racially mixed people on Earth, and they are being installed in Europe, and it seems to be that the rate they're going to be a majority very, very soon, within the next couple of decades. And this is not a reason to be angry with them. I mean, I live with two guys from North Africa, from the Sudan, Muslims, and they're lovely guys. So don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying you should be angry with them. I'm just saying that this is the plan that has been put in by the powers that be, and it's wrong. It's destructive. It's destructive for everybody. Well, certainly destructive for white European people who are essentially the target now of a genocide. But it's going to damage everybody. It's going to, as I said before, the Illuminati I don't believe they dislike white people more than anyone else. I think that this is a strategic thing they're doing. this anti-white business and things like that. It's obviously, it serves a greater purpose. I think they intend to wipe us all out. I think they're going to replace us with transhumanist monsters. I've said this before. We'll be like the Epsilons in Brave New World. They want genetically modified beings with very low intelligence, short lifespans, and very, very obedient, to replace natural human beings of all races. So yeah, I mean, that is a problem, Edwardian lady, I agree. And in fact, the current, British population is increasing, but it's simply through immigration. And now I think the majority of newborn babies now are from the immigrants. As I said, don't get angry with the immigrants, okay? Don't get angry with them. Get angry with the people who are actually doing this to the world, and are trying to destroy the world and destroy life on Earth as we know it. So it's this conversation between Random and Edwardian lady. Right, GAN9E says on UFO Disclosure 2017, what about Britain? And this is a conversation again, and it's sorry, this is not, seems to be a kind of like a, why did UFOs of the 1950s go from typical saucers to balls and orbs after the mid-1970s? And Roaring Waterbay says the demons changed their operating procedure. Ben can verify this. Well, actually, GAN9E, UFOs of all shapes and sizes were seen throughout the entire modern UFO era. And then GAN9E says 3 weeks ago, I was going to say but forgot, there's a massive clue to the existence of UFOs. It's the eponymous nature of today's smartphone with a camera you see with literally anyone owning one of the last decade. Why have we not been inundated with real UFO footage? I mean, UFO footage. Yeah, well, they have. I mean, look at what Wayne Keach is doing. I think is this another, it ain't UFOs, it's the military sort of debate, because I'm not going to go through that again. Alright, I've been through that I think I'll go through it in this bloody video. Problem is there's too much information out there, and I can't keep repeating myself. There's no soundbite answers to this. But you do look at what I've said before. And while we're on the subject, someone has actually commented on Knots Roswell 2. Now this is a video that I made in 2014, in February 2014. And it is from the Midlands Paranormal Society, blimey. I work in the field in the paranormal field and have my own equipment. I'm going to try to obtain some drone footage of these sites and see about doing some metal detecting around these locations. Good documentary, guys, but you do look like you could do with some help on camera angles and viewer perceptions. Sometimes it was hard to gauge your positions. If you ever want to share info or investigate other forms of the paranormal in the Midlands area, give us a shout. I would be happy to help. Nottingham and Derbyshire is very active for all forms of paranormal research. Right, well, I'm actually going to put a comment to this. Thanks, MPS. I'd be happy to help. That's interesting. Although the problem is, getting to that part of the country is going to be a lot more difficult for me, because I don't have a base of operations anymore, because I split up with Sue Stain, my girlfriend who used to live in Nottingham. I split up with her. Right, Marira says did Britain start the world wars? Just put in that. Yeah. Whenever I attempt to grasp that slippery eel, the truth of history, the same problem arises, as here with Rasputin. That characters who seem peripheral to the story one is reading, each come with their own massive story, which has to be summarised or dismissed in order to continue with the target topic. Nick has the gift of picking out the golden thread, which enables us to follow him and see history with a new perspective. Good intro too, thanks. You're welcome, Marira. When you talk about Rasputin, by the way, are you from Russia? You may be interested to know I've done a HPANWO radio special on Rasputin. I did it on the centenary of his death, the 30th of December 2016. Go to the HPANWO radio blog and you'll see it. HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com. I'm glad you like what Nick was doing. I'm glad you think that he's on the right track. He's getting the golden thread, as you say. look at some more of his stuff, because he's good like that, I think. Trev Dowson says, nice one, Dr. Nick. Good work. Well, Nick was the star of the show, even though I made the video, so I just put a smiley face there for him. Jungle Surfer. Jungle Surfer TV. Right, what's the jungle? You know, the Jungle Surfer. The war was run from London, but sure, it's all controlled demo and strategic relocation. They weren't vegans, you see. Sorry, I'm taking a... Sorry, Jungle Surfer, I don't mean to take the mickey out of you. That's how... Do you know, you ever go to the Jungle Surfer's channel? Do watch his videos, because, I mean, I disagree with a lot of what he says, but he's got some good stuff, he really has. I do like what he says. Now, there's a big conversation here. Oh my goodness. What's this here? Oh, there's some more stuff about... So I'll come on to that later. That's coming up later on. But Jungle Surfer says, here, Ben, you don't watch enough of my vids. Alright, I'll say, sorry JS. I'm trying to find the time. I like what you do. And I do like what you do. Okay, Jungle Surfer, so no offence. Even though I take the mickey out of you. You take the mickey out of me too, I'm sure. Watch my Normandy and Dunkirk vids. Alright, oh, I will do. I'll watch those, Jungle Surfer, okay? Grey is FTM. I don't know what that means. Is that part of a conversation you're having with somebody else? Oh, the Chuck Gray, the guy Nick was talking about. What's FTM? Financial Times? Oh, I don't know. Alright, I'll have a look at those videos you talked about, okay? Jungle Surfer says again on the same video, you see 16 millions, i.e. 7, i.e. Zayn mind weapons. Okay. Right, Supernatural Oxford, first comment on a new video. Ben, you have... Oh, right. Sorry, I replied to this by text. But he says I've got a pyramid between my eyebrows, have I? Is it like a pyramid there? It's very bit Illuminati, that, isn't it? They're actually laughter lines. You've got to laugh at the Illuminati, haven't you? Incidentally, I'm sorry, this was another video that got flagged for copyright and it's not available. You can't get it on like some platforms. Bloody annoying. It's just a thunderclap. It was from a free sound effects folder. It's... Oh... I'm getting paranoid about this whole thing. Right, HCCom 995. HQCom S65 says on the Supernatural Oxford video, I was a hospital porter before I trained to be an ODA in theatres, lol. My goodness, my poor dar wasn't up to scratch. I thought I could spot you guys from a mile off. Pride and dignity, brother porter. Or ex-hospital porter. I'm an ex-hospital porter now. But you know what they say? Once a hospital porter, always a hospital porter. That's the fact of the matter. Right, same user, HQC, ODO, former porter, ODA, says, I just set up my Kinect camera on my computer for ghost hunting. I've caught 2 figures already. Spooky. Well, brother porter, I mean, could you send me some footage or something? Just email me, and I'd be interested to see that. So that's Kinect camera. I don't know what's that. It's Win Keach would know about that. Right, Armand Adams says on Supernatural Oxford, I love your shows, Ben. Nice to see Oxford. I love to do a few investigations in your neck of the woods. I do my Skywatches and investigations mostly in East Sussex. Well, come on to Oxford, Armand. I'll show you around. I know Armand Adams is someone I've never met him, but I do know. I sort of know him quite well online now. Helen Tucker says, nice tour of Oxford. Very intriguing. Those skeletons and no follow-up information. Definitely strange. Nice one. Well, thanks, Helen. I'll actually add here. Thanks, Helen. Yes, Very odd. I'll put like a. I won't leave her a comments reply. A comments reply tag. Okay, but I'll put it in as text. There we are. Thanks, Helen. Yes, very odd. Time for another. Yep, almost time for another tag. Right, Julian Carver. Oh right, yeah. I think I sorted this as via text. And he deleted. Hang on. Oh, that's gone. Oh no, I deleted this. Oh no, I did have a word with this over text. I discussed this in text with Julian Carver because he had a 4G device on his home Wi-Fi and he couldn't see the video. It was just saying not available. And I looked into it. It's because of the bloody content ID thing on YouTube. The content ID thing is an automatic system which basically detects copyright infringements. Fortunately, what it means by copyright infringements, it means basically two things that are exactly the same. Which means if two people use the same free sound folder, Content ID will flag it, thinking it's a copyright infringement. Not very clever, that, is it? Which means it's a really, really bad system. I mean, maybe it's preferable to the things where they just put strikes on your channel and stuff like that. But it's still annoying. It's bloody annoying. But what happened was, eventually he got home and he watched it on his PC. Yeah, thanks Ben, thanks for all your great work. Okay. Damn. Okay. And then there's this conversation with, right, Brill Billy says on Supernatural Oxford. Okay. Thanks so much, really informative, mate. I live just outside Oxford and never knew someone like this, so big thanks. I live within a 16-mile radius of the 7 Rothschild bloodline properties, and the Hellfire Caves are 25 minutes away too. With having an alternative media background, I love nothing more than finding out about symbolism in building designs and orientation, including location. And all this on my doorstep for those who have eyes to see the bigger picture. Cheers. Well, thanks, Bro Billy. Glad you liked it, and check out your stuff. I've done a video at the Hellfire Caves. And come along to the Roswell 70 event on the 8th of July. I'd love to meet you. Another Blonde. Hi, Another Blonde. Now, Another Blonde is a real person. I've actually met her. And she says here, nice vid, Ben. Yes, Oxford's very noisy. The female counterpart to the phallic tower is the Queen Street. The Q is the fertilised egg and the street is the birth channel canal. X is female chromosome and the O is also an egg. As you know, the Tammuz, when it goes through Oxford, is known as Isis. That's true. I'm having an amazing day defrosting my freezer. Yawn. Well, thanks for that. Now, Another Blonde has her own channel where she talks about this. Like, she's spotted things in street plans and things like that. And we actually we plan to collaborate pretty soon on some of these issues. So stay tuned for that. Right, Jack Parker says, be careful with the observation and analogies of buildings. They're going to start asking if you're gay again. Oh, right. Yeah, well, I'm just stating the fact that what these symbols mean. That's what I'm just saying, what they're talking about here. Right. Elite 1980s, Mr. Elite 1980s says, you really should go inside some of the well-known properties in Oxford and talk to members of staff or those who live there about the subject you're covering. They may give you some info you may not know, and it's something worth considering when making such videos. Don't just go by what you've read when talking about these locations, but get some insights from people who either live or work in the area. Try to make a video where I'm at. The tower's not far from Milton Keynes. There's plenty of spirits there and plenty of paralytics and yes, paranormal activities also. Lol, couldn't resist that one, which is instantly something that goes on here. Paralytics, yeah. You get drunk students. We have it here too. It has a history that goes back over 2,000 years. Cheers. Well, thanks, Elite. Actually, I have spoken to a man. I've got a friend. Well, we're still friends. We've sort of drifted apart, but he was a butler at Green Templeton College. So I'll see if he knows anything. You know about butlers and how they're good at transmitting and receiving gossip. So thanks for that. Jack Parker says on Supernatural Oxford. Speaking of which, that question the people place, sometimes Inquisition style, akin to asking if you're a certain variety of Christian way back in the day aforementioned. A real man only smiles with mild amusement when put to that question. Is he gay? Alright, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. And I am from a Roman Catholic family, but I'm not a Catholic anymore. Someone else, probably someone I've blocked, has said that, haven't they? Right, UFO Disclosure 2017, what about Britain? None of that will occur. What's this? Geraldine Stevens says on UFO Disclosure 2017, none of that will occur because the BBC are evil arseholes. It's up to us. You're probably right, you know, Geraldine. And she says underneath, we're going to put them out of business. Yeah, but don't pay your license fee. That's the first step. But yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel a bit more and more cynical about disclosure and everything now. I think I am. It's starting to look a bit kind of dodgy. Yeah. Right. Geraldine Stevens says also on the same video, I have never been popular. I've dreamed about it. We could well use a popular government. Then somebody is being popular, maybe it will catch on. Well, not you obviously if you're not popular, Geraldine, but I don't know. People call Trump a populist, don't they? This word populist seems to be sort of like a buzzword, isn't it? It's one of these sort of little catchphrases. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Okay. Geraldine Stevens says again, yeah, UK people are generally truthful. It should be up to us, but not the BBC. And I need to change over my tag. So I will now put, I'll get rid of that one. I'm going to need to write out some new tags soon. Because I've only got them up to 3 hours. Is this video going to be longer than 3 hours? Oh, hang on, sorry. Edit, undo. Right. That's it. Nude. That's it. Right. Yeah, UK people are generally truthful, but it should be us, but not the BBC, unless they repent. Oh, Geraldine, the BBC are beyond redemption. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is something more suited to the British mentality. No disrespect to Steve or any other American researcher, but British people are far less naive than the Americans, I think. Now, this is on Supernatural Oxford. Someone called, oh my goodness. Oh, this is another discussion about the restricted status of the video. It's alright, that's sorted. And right, go through that. Right, Snarnock says on Supernatural Oxford, I love your out and about videos, Ben. Always very interesting. Looking forward to the next one. Thanks, Snarnock. I'm hoping to get some soon. Jamie Fairman says, thanks, Ben. A nice history lesson of Oxford. I say, you're welcome. Jamie. You're welcome, Jamie. Right, Snarnock says on Supernatural Oxford, perhaps there's an Adam Brooks, ex-hospital porter living in Cambridge who has the same interests that you have. It could be, Snarnock. I mean, there's this big hospital called Adam Brooks in Cambridge. So I'd be interested to see if they've got the same thing in Cambridge, because Cambridge is another of the great universities. Although some people in Oxford deny that, they say it's a dump. But yeah, it could be. Could be. Safety Man, hello Safety Man. I know Safety Man from Facebook. Hi Ben, great to see you back to your best videos. The roving reporter Ben in inspectorate mode. I'll say thanks, Safety Man. Thanks, Safety Man. That's. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Yeah. I'll do some more of those. People seem to like those videos, so I will do some more. Lee Cook says on Supernatural Oxford, I saw my doppelganger once. He was 6'2", bristling with muscles, with 2 ladies on each arm. Here's a photo of me. And what's this say? What's this photo say? Right. This is his doppelganger. Oh, God. Yeah, sure, mate, sure. Sorry, I won't explain. I won't explain. I just happened to snap a picture of him as well. Oh, yeah. Now you're boasting, Lee. Now you're boasting. I won't go into details. GS Evolved on Supernatural Oxford said, very interesting and happy Easter, Ben. Same to you, GS. Even though this was a long time ago, wasn't it? Cheers. This was a long time ago, but yeah. Right, Julian Carver says on Supernatural Oxford, thanks Ben, lol, bloody YouTube, thanks for all your great work. I'll just put here, I'll just put here smiley face, because this is part of the conversation I had with Julian about it not working. Right, 69 Phuket says, I'm not convinced that Oxford has any more activity than anywhere else in the world. The dead can dance anywhere. Maybe. I mean, Oxford's not the only very haunted place in the world, but it does seem to have more than its fair share, I must admit, in all objectivity and unbiasedness. To the extent that one can be objective and unbiased, I think it does. Right. Jungle Surfer TV says on Supernatural Oxford, it's all just BS to push supernatural, thus religion. I don't think it is, Jungle Surfer. I mean, firstly, supernatural and religion are not connected. Okay, I actually explain in the video, I talk about the Reformation in England and the Counter-Reformation and the burning of the bishops. Pushing the idea, well, pushing supernatural, studying the evidence of the supernatural, which is that's what we're talking about here, Jungle Surfer. We're talking about a scientific study, essentially. Has nothing to do with religion. It's far from it. I mean, you can believe in these things and not be religious. Alternatively, the majority of religious people don't believe in ghosts. They recoil from the idea. There's Lionel Fanthorpe and other people are an exception. Right, this video is drummer Lee Rigby Ogilvie. Now, this is a video I made long ago in 2013 when poor Lee Rigby was killed in one way or another. I got this is a long comment. This is a comment thread with loads of people I blocked because people were like attacking me for it, even though I was just saying something according to the evidence. I believe Lee Rigby, as I've said before, died. I believe he was murdered, but he was murdered not in the way that we've been told. And you don't respect his memory or show sensitivity to his loved ones by maintaining a lie. I've made this point before. Maintaining a lie about how he died, and and his real killers are still walking the streets. They're still free. They're still walking the streets to strike again, and they're going to do it again. Right, new video, HPANWO yogurt. Jamie Fairman says, your Oxford video would not play on the phone. Regarding your yogurt, it sounds yummy. Well, try it, Jamie. I hope you like it. I really do. I do hope you like it. What's the time? Right, and in 20 minutes I'm actually going to stop filming and take a little break. And I'll start a new tag after that. Because it's going to be a long video, this one. I just pressed delete and nothing happened. Come on. Right. Edwardian Lady says on HPANWO yogurt, that was strangely therapeutic. Haha. Well, Edwardian Lady, wait until you taste the stuff. Try making some yourself. You'll really like it. I'm sure you. It's very, very nice. Right. Sorry, it's making strange noises. YouTube. Paul Gibson says, that was more Floyd than Delia, but looked tasty. I would think that in our home it would be a sweet for 4 people. Thanks, mate. Definitely moist. Can you make Alan's a psychedelic breakfast? I'm not sure I can make. Which Alan do you mean? A psychedelic breakfast is that one with you put magic mushrooms instead of normal mushrooms. As Craig Smith said that underneath. Definitely more Floyd than Delia. Well, try it. I mean, thing about it is maybe it's because I'm a big, ugly ex-hospital porter, you know, and a growing lad. I've got to have a big bowl like that. But so try it, Paul. Try it anyway. Right. That's it. That's right. Craig Smith. Yeah. Right, here we go. Craig on the HPANWO yogurt. Craig Smith says, cheap honey gets imported from China, who mix honey strains together and then remove the pollen so it's untraceable. No pollen, just honey, just sugary shite. Always buy organic. Can't afford organic? Stop buying frozen pizza. Well, that's it. I mean, I will always buy organic honey, I think, Craig, especially with the disappearing bees and things like that, which I talk about in the video. It's I think it's very, very important to actually to put aside resources for that. I mean, if you can always do that. I mean, people will fork out for what is it? How many pounds Netflix costs or something like that. Cancel your Netflix subscription. Netflix commits censorship anyway. They're refusing to show the Red Pill movie, the one about feminism. Right? They're refusing to show it. So I would, if I wasn't already not subscribing, I would cancel my subscription because of that. Another blonde says, channel Fanny Craddock. Fanny Craddock. Well, I've done 2 now of these recipe videos, so I'll see if I can do any more. Oh, Malcolm Browning says this is a new one. Oh, this is a deleted comment on UFOs. A reply to Stefan Molyneux. Molyneux has 1 or 2 very serious blind spots. Well, yes, he does, but he certainly does, Malcolm. I can't leave a tag for that because you've deleted your comments. What am I doing for time? Right, here we go. Yeah. This is like right, I see what you mean. He can be very dismissive and a bit of a know-all. Well, yeah, he can. And this doesn't mean I think I still like the guy. I like what he has to say, but he's far from perfect. And I explain in the video the various things that he's got wrong. Right. Malcolm Browning says, is this a this is a deleted comment again where he says, personally I wouldn't argue with Molyneux. He has a smart answer for everything, but not always valid. Basically he's discussing a subject he appears to have little knowledge of. Quite so, Malcolm, and this was my point in the video. So yeah, I know what you mean, but I mean he's still worth correcting him on where he went wrong. Molyneux is pretty ignorant. Is this alright, I'm assuming you're deleting all your comments. I don't know why you're doing that, Malcolm, but Molyneux is pretty ignorant. Don't forget Einstein was a fraud and basically bamboozled the scientific community with erroneous ideas. The so-called speed of light is not a limitation. In fact, light, and then it cuts off because unfortunately he's deleted his comment, and the email copy I get is only like the first 100 words or so. I'd love to know more, Malcolm, because what you said about Einstein is interesting, to do with the Michelson-Morley experiment, about how it was repeated and they did actually find the ether. But that's a big subject, but it's a shame you deleted your comment, it really is. And he's deleted this comment again. Malcolm Browning, there does seem to be a terrible lack of understanding and essential knowledge here on both sides. By the way, there's no God, so that answers that question. Molyneux belongs in a much earlier, that's all he says. So, anyway, that's Malcolm Browning's contribution, and he tantalising, because he sounded like he had a good line, then he starts deleting his comments. Ex-Rotary Bill, I can never pronounce his name. I mean, he comments on a lot of my videos, but I always mispronounce his name. In the appeal options, there's an option to remove the audio that they have flagged. I had a song possibly in some gameplay footage which got flagged. The technology to remove the music from the background sounds impressive. I did try to do that, but it didn't work. So they said it was not possible to actually mute the thunderclap. But Snarnox says here, you could install uBlock to your original browser extension add-ons. I use Vivaldi on Mozilla Firefox browsers. I think you can get them with Chrome. No more adverts. Ghostery is another add-on I'd recommend. Google Chrome extensions. The thing is though, Snark, if you use an ad blocker, that often means the platform has to increase. You know, the platform cannot earn. For instance, firstly, if you're dealing with something monetized, the content creator doesn't get paid, the platform doesn't get paid, and then they start doing stupid things like charging subscription fees. So I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're suggesting an ad blocker, that's something to consider. I don't know exactly what the situation is with what you're suggesting, with the software you're suggesting. Snarnox says here, please do more different videos similar to this one when you have the time. I loved your aspartame experiment video. Oh, that was something I did years ago. I did like a homeopathic aspartame. Yeah, that was a comedy video I did. All right, I'll see what I can do, Snarnock. All right, I'll try and see if I can sort something out for you like that. What's the time now? All right, I'm going to take a break in 10 minutes. Right, Johnny Parker says on HPANWO yogurt, dude, Paul Joseph Watson is a total shill if ever there was one. I can't believe you mentioned him. Just look at the rubbish he comes out with. The whole InfoWars thing is completely controlled. Now that's, again, getting into shill discussions is like it's a downward spiral into a black hole of paranoia and unfalsifiable hypotheses. I'm not a shill. I'm against cultural Marxism. And guess what? Conservatism is the new counterculture. Things like that. Well, Paul is. I like some of his videos, all right. When he just stands there in front of that map talking at the camera, there's a lack of variety there, I must admit. But I mean, I think he's sincere. I mean, and he puts out so much material. I mean, he must just do that non-stop. But as for the InfoWars being controlled, well, if you're looking for an award for originality, Johnny, this is Johnny Parker, by the way, saying this, you're not going to get one, I'm afraid, not for that. Emperor Mong says here, I prefer free tubers anyway. Do you? Right, what's free tubers? Is that because I think I had a discussion about ads and things like that, and demonetization. Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I don't do ads, but basically it's because there's no point for me, unfortunately. Helen Tucker says, gives a big smiley face on there on my HPANWO yogurt video, so I'm going to give her a smiley face back. There we are. Dazastar, some toasted oats would be good. Oh right, it was nice to hear from you anyway, Dazastar. I like his comments are brilliant, and he's a friend of Steve Trueblue, and some toasted oats would be good, says Dazastar. All right, well, toasted oats. Not tried that. Is that an Australian thing? I know Dazastar's an Aussie. Lemsip. Hey, Lemsip is. It's nice to hear from Lemsip. I've actually spoken to Lemsip on the phone. I thought this was about making yogurt with milk and a culture, something I've tried many times in a vacuum flask or using an electric yogurt maker. With milk and a culture. I see. Because I actually bought the yogurt, you see. I didn't actually make my own yogurt. I've never tried that. But don't you need yeast or something? Don't you need to sort of like ferment it? What is yogurt actually? I've never thought about it. I know it's dairy, isn't it? But how do you make it? What's the difference between yogurt and cheese? Funny, these are questions I really should have asked already, shouldn't I? Right, Nigel Studwick says on counter-trumpeting, Ben, do you think that Turkey will reappraise its support for the Syrian rebels given Erdogan's sweeping new powers? I don't know. Who knows? I mean, Turkey's in a bit of a chaos at the moment because there was an attempted coup which looks like it was backed by the CIA a few months ago. And the coup was put down and the instigators were all shot, but it's hard to know. I mean, there was that incident in Turkey. I remember there was an incident where that policeman shot dead the Russian ambassador. Do you remember that? It was a really weird thing. Some people compared it to the Archduke Ferdinand assassination in 1914, which led to the Second World War. It's very kind of like, it's scary, the situation the world is in at the moment, actually. It really is very, very unstable. And Kimberly Clark says, here, thanks Thoroughly enjoyed this, Ben. You have a knack for a good YouTube show, whatever you present. Thanks, Kimberly, and enjoy your HPANWO yogurt. Right, Steve A says, did Britain start the world wars? Right. Dirty fucking Zionist Jews did as per usual. These fuck pigs are behind all the wars. Mel Gibson was right when he said that. Alright, again, Steve, look at my... Go to HPANWO Radio, HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com. Look at, I can't remember what number show it is, 180 something I think. I've done an entire video about Jews and how it's not... Firstly, Zionists and Jews are two different things. Okay, it's like water and wine. Jews are Jews, Zionists are Zionists. They are conflated mistakenly. Jews are innocent. Jews are not behind the New World Order. Okay, this is I do tackle that myth in detail. You can think what you like about it, but I do provide evidence. All right, I provide evidence. Martin Fleischmann dies. That's a title of a video that I did a few years ago. And Martin Fleischmann actually did die. Now Clausum says, a good-looking cup of tea, Ben. All right, I was having a cup of tea at the time. I've actually broken that cup. Actually, well, I had a big mug which I use for tea. I've broken it actually. I've got this one instead. But I actually broke that one. They usually last a couple of years with me, then they get broken. So. That's interesting. And someone else has put a comment. This is an old video, yeah. This is back in 2012. I made this video. Right. Julian Carver says on HPANWO yogurt. Thanks for that, Ben. Just had a small bowl of HPANWO yogurt after my bangers and mash. A lovely dessert. I'm glad you liked it, Julian. Well done. Glad you liked it. We're getting okay. A few more minutes, and I'm going to take a break. So I'm glad you liked that, Julian. Right. Alright, I'll just delete that, and I'll delete that. Oh, it's Tiberius Kirk! Good old Tiberius Kirk. I met him. He was at the UFO Truth Magazine conference. Stick to the Truth Investigator stuff, Ben. Chef Emlyn-Jones? Nah, lol. Come on, Tiberius, just try it, alright? Just make it and try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but please, just give it a go. Alright, Paul is right. This is a discussion. Paul, I think this is part of a conversation I've already replied on the World Wars video. Let's have a look. And yes, I have. This is just basically the conversation between Ed Kaler, Keith Richards, and Paulie Mack, which I talked about earlier. Paulie Mack says, "Edwardian lady, what the fuck are you on about? Don't swear at Edwardian lady on my channel. All right, that's rude." What does Edwardian lady reply? I'm going to delete that video. That's out of order. Now, the mainframe and several people... Oh, Glenn, what's all this about? Edwardian lady, do you mind all this shit? Alright, because... I don't want people being rude to you, okay? Because you're a good commenter. You always comment on things. I won't tolerate people being rude to you. In terms of you might want to just tell them where to go. Go ahead, but just let me know, all right, what you want me to do with these trolls. Right, Paulie Mac. Great. This is on Did Britain Start World Wars? Is this a? Oh, this is a standalone comment, so I'm going to reply to it. Great video. It all made sense. Interesting point regarding Germany's independent currency outside of the Rothschild banking system. Well, thanks, Paulie Mac. Glad you like that, and I'm sure Nick will appreciate what you said too. Yeah, Nick was talking about that. This does seem to be a recurring pattern in these various takeovers. I mean, in these various wars starting, like with Libya, when Colonel Gaddafi tried to bring in a gold standard currency and a Bank of Africa on a gold standard, as well as planning to trade oil in it. Libyan oil in it, and also the water. He also wanted to make Libya water independent by tapping aquifers underneath the ground. It was only then that they decided he was a bad guy again. They went full circle after deciding he was a good guy, deciding he was a bad guy, and ousting him from power. This is Adam Curtis did a good video about this called Hypernormalization. Check that one out. Right, right. Is this a standalone comment or part of a conversation? Okay. Taboo and fringe. Let's open it all up for discussion. Get some critical thinking involved without fear of having a label slammed on you. Exactly. Well said. Ed Kayla. All right, that's okay. This is just right. HPANWO yogurt. Mysteria says on HPANWO yogurt. Is that a fruit bowl, Ben? It's actually one I just found. I think it is actually. It's one I just found in it seemed the right size and shape for making HPANWO yogurt, so I decided I would use it. Right, Gary PR says on Supernatural Oxford, such a shame, I haven't been able to watch it on phone or tablet. I'll put it, yes, sorry about that. Try it on your home PC. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Gary, I really am, that that's happened, because that's really annoying. Alright, upcoming events 2017. Rewind Remix said, hey, amazing video, thanks. It's just really an advert video, really. Right, this is an old one now. Ben Emlyn-Jones at the UFO Academy in Watford. So this is one from last year. Fight for Freedom 1000 said, who set that camera up there? Nice talk, but you see bugger all of the presentation from that angle, as you were between the camera and the screen for 80% of the time, so couldn't see what you were talking about. I'm sorry about that, Fight for Freedom, because it was basically the way it was all set up. There was an official cameraman at one end, but the whole thing got buggered up, so we had to fall back on the second camera angle, which was filmed by Tiberius Kirk, which is basically his mobile phone. He was sitting on the front row of the audience, so apologies for that. There's a better copy of this particular. I did this speech somewhere else. I did it at the Swansea UFO network in South Wales, and they produced a better quality video of this. Okay, so check out SUFON, SUFON, Swansea UFO Network. Right, Lee Cook says on upcoming events, Ben, you're the sort of person who would truly benefit from 2 to 5 doses of ayahuasca or DMT. You are knocking on the door of truly knowing yourself, brother. Well, Lee, I'm a big fan of authors like Graham Hancock and the book he wrote, Supernatural. And as you remember my books on my shelf video where I talk about Dr. Rick Strassman's DMT, the spirit molecule. I'll think about that. I really will. But I mean, it's the kind of thing I want to take seriously. If I ever do something like that, I'll be very, very careful how I do it. I really will. I have smoked a bit of dope, actually. I wrote some articles about that. It was pretty incredible and horrible at one. But the second time I smoked, it was bloody awful. Really was. Anyway, I'm going to take a little break now, and we'll continue shortly. Okay, I'm back with to start again with a new tag. But there's only 17 minutes on the chip anyway, so I'm going to have to change it. I have to start again soon. Right, David White. As I said, did Britain start the world wars? Yes. He just simply says yes. So that's what Nick said. That's Nick's thesis. Jack Parker says on upcoming events. I'm not exactly sure when you're making this, but we almost had an event called a nuclear holocaust spawned on the mouth of North Korean leader and Donald Trump's reciprocal actions. Just the Syria event got stood down by Russia, basically. I believe again this is the case. We're like the Lone Ranger fighting with guns on our hips, not in real life, not for long. It's grim, isn't it? It's a grim situation. But you want me to make a video about this? Oh, blimey, yeah. Well, I've sort of been saying things like it for quite a while now, you know. Right, Tokyo 369 says on upcoming events. Dear Ben, you didn't deserve to be banned from the conference. You have my unwavering support. Cheers, mate. Thanks. Thanks, Tokyo. Thanks, much appreciated. I put a text comment reply there. Yeah, so did I mention that in this video? I don't think I mentioned that on YouTube. It's been a big thing on HPANWO Radio. I didn't know I'd mentioned it on YouTube. Right, Delane says on upcoming events. Delane has deleted this comment. Now Delane has been commenting on some other videos, which I've been commenting on, like one with Andrew Johnson on Anthony Beckett's Exopolitics Great Britain channel. And then he or she goes and deletes the comments. I don't know why that is. But anyway, it says, "Hi Ben, I hope to see you at the White House on the 8th. Did you get my message on the HPANWO forum? No offence, but you have considered a better forum platform. But have you considered a better forum platform than the current one? It's not the easiest." I'm glad you're coming to the Roswell 70, Delane. I haven't seen. I didn't see your message on HPANWO forum. I don't think. Did you send it to the admin account or to the Hagbarn Celine account? I'll go to the forum and check it out in a little while, okay? David Keith says on ASAP Seriously Suspicious 2016. Great talk, thanks Ben. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, David. Right. Keith Richards says on Did Britain Start Both World Wars? Well, this is part of this long comments thread, so I'll leave that. As is this, I think. Oh, that's the Paul is dead thing. Hang on, this is Keith Richards again. What's he saying now? Disgusted with people who propagate the Paul is dead. Moronic doesn't begin to describe it. It teaches us that all controversial theories about deliberate misinformation are complete nonsense. Also, you need now to mention the flat earth idiots along with that. Well, Keith, you're commenting on the wrong video, okay? I've done another video called Paul is Dead, about is Paul McCartney dead? And Nick Nick was a part of that. He was filming Nick again. But I don't agree with you. It's not moronic. In fact, it's something I take seriously now. I never used to, but I'm very much on the fence, but now I take it seriously. And it's easier if you comment on the actual video rather than on some different video. Jack Parker says on upcoming events, China is now advising US have restraint. I think everybody needs to sit on Donald Trump's hands until we can figure out what he's doing with them. Well, yeah, Trump is, like I say, there's the Trump we have now, Trump Mark II, is different from Trump Mark I, isn't he? Steve Trueblue says on reply to comments 8, which is the last comments video. Hi there Ben, stopping Marxism at its university source. And this is a video, this is a video that Steve's made. Oh yeah, I watched this. This was about basically the SJW kind of Antifa phenomenon in universities. It was a good video by Steve Trueblue. So yeah, that's pretty good. He's put this comment. All right, here we go. Oh, this is my new video. This is the first comment on a new video. Ben Emlyn-Jones at the Manchester Truth Movement. Beetlejuice 1. Hi Beetlejuice. He says Manchester is Big Dicko's neck of the woods. Big Dicko? And who are you talking about? It sounds like a sketch from Monty Python. Biggus. Dickus. Alright. Upcoming events. This is Julian Carver again on upcoming events. Excellent stuff, Ben. Lots coming up. Really wish I could make the White House event. That's the name of the pub where Roswell 70 is going to be. It's not a joke. As I live near there, unfortunately already going away with the family for a few days and can't get out of it. Sorry to hear that, mate, Julian, but do enjoy your day out with the family. And Julian Carver says on the Truth Movement Manchester video, brilliant, lol. I could listen to your French accent all day, Ben. I also wish I'd married my English teacher, Miss Jones. Superb video all round. Oh, that's when I was talking about the French election in the middle of it, yeah, because I was pondering that on my journey to Manchester. So thanks, Julian. Right, David Keith said on the Manchester Truth Movement video, just had my interest ignited after watching the programme about the Rendlesham case. Your videos are great, and I must say, you're a very good public speaker. Thanks, mate. Oh, I'll put here, thanks, David. Glad you liked it. Much appreciated. Smiley face. He did write on my Colonel Holt video, yeah, how much time left now. Much appreciated. Right. And another blonde says, very interesting talk, B. Keep up the good work. Will do. Thanks, another blonde. Emperor Mong says on Manchester Truth Movement, a comment's been deleted, but he basically says, get a coach to France and set a bomb off before the final election, Ben. That'll get Le Pen in. What? Are you suggesting I carry out a false flag attack for the purposes of propaganda? Well, as it happened, it didn't bloody work, did it? That bloody idiot Macron, that damn idiot Macron got in, didn't he? And he says, nearly 4,000 subs, Ben. The NWO are fucked. Oh, thanks. It's gone up quite a bit, actually. I only had 2,000 a little while ago, and I've got 4,000. That's good. Thanks to everyone who subscribed to me. Much appreciated. Jack Parker says on Manchester Truth Movement. All right, here we go. It's quite a long. This is quite a long series of comments here. One reason world government is not feasible because of people who are maladjusted, like the bloke who's making too much noise. But with the new concepts of health and nutrition, ultimately biological understanding would allow the crux of the problem to be more controlled. The mind. When people feel better and they're less problematic, we must now ultimately gel a unified unit, ultimate litmus test of awareness and maturity, advances in science that are brewing quite actually, are the reasons that chaos will ensue if we don't more fully understand our purpose on this planet and the grand scheme. It's hard to stay in phase with a new reality that we can barely believe. I think the turning point will be the realisation that life is so ubiquitous and close to our proximity. Once we've seen enough of the craft, it's kind of hard to step out of the reality. It seems to be inundated. The powers that be, also the powers that see, beyond our scope. A renaissance in our reality will be the crux of evolution of our purpose in the planet. More to see the pending cataclysm with clear evidence of earthquakes and volcanoes. The outside cause announced in the media, gravitational presence of a large body. This is the reason for this necessary expansion of our aptitude. We don't get to stare from truth very soon. Fear is not the direct discussion. We must snap to attention and become more communal now for the common goal. I feel like Lieutenant Columbo, of course. The word looking is what I had in mind when addressing truth that we will not be able to stare away from. Voice to text, something self-corrects before send. Final proof read, absolutely essential. Suffice to say, use your fingers to type out the text. The wording, in that case, is crucially important. Yes, that was a slight typo. You don't get away from the truth, which you must have deduced. As you see, we don't need a complete picture to see it. Well, thanks for the comment. I'll have to think about what you said here. Interesting, long detailed reply. So thank you very much. GS Evolve says, very interesting, Ben. I'll have to watch the rest in the evening. Good stuff. Well, it is 2 hours 37 minutes. Which is pretty long, well, short compared to this video, but still quite long. Yeah. Jamie Fairman says, great show, Ben. Looking forward to your Oxford event. Oh, right. So you're coming to the Oxford one. Brilliant. Thanks, Jamie. Hope to see you there. Julian Carver just said, I just watched the whole film. Superb, Ben. Really pleasant to watch. Thanks, Julian. Glad you liked it, Julian. That's on Truth Movement again, the Manchester one. Right, another one on the Manchester one. Macron is a Rothschild puppet. The right wing has history have been controlled by the intelligence services. Le Pen, like Trump, supports Israel despite phony reports in the media. Trump and other Rothschilds puppet Zionists, which shows support for Israel. Yeah, we've been through this. Brexit is also a City of London and New World Order strategy. Mr. Jones believed Bigfoot lives in England. Yeah. Well, you brought up a lot of different subjects there, Diego. I do believe Bigfoot lives in England. I used not to, but I'm convinced now. But you brought things such as Trump, Le Pen, Brexit. I suppose you say it's all part of the strategy. Well, tell me this, Diego. I mean, I've asked this question in a previous video. In your view, if the New World Order was to end, how would we know? Let me know. Let me know what the answer is to that. Blue Wool. Oh, Blue Wool is Colin, I think. At 2 hours, 10 minutes and 40 seconds. This is the con they pulled with the alien autopsy. What's that? Oh, what I'll do is I'll have to ask you privately about that, because I'm not sure. I'll ask you privately about that, because I know Colin. Colin's a friend. I've actually met him. I'll be seeing him soon. I'll ask him about that. Right, Chile has said on Truth Movement, Manchester, love it. Would be cool if you did some stuff in South East or East Midlands, so I can see you in person. That's from Spooky Mems. Well, by all means, I mean, I've got 4 minutes left on that. Okay, Spooky Mems, if someone will book me, I'll speak. I don't ask for a fee, I just ask for my expenses to be covered, if possible. Or any help I can get. See if anyone wants to book me in that area, just let me know and I'll speak. Talking about East Midlands, I've spoken at Truth Tooth Nottingham. If they want me to invite me back, I'll speak again. I'm pretty flexible, so... Right, Clausum says, great video, Ben. I'll say thanks, Clausum. Clausum's a good... I like Clausum, he's cool. George Carlin. I've still got some time left on this. This is not George... The actual George Carlin has actually deleted his comment. Anyway, George Carlin, maybe YouTube channeled him, you know, from the afterlife. But he says here, underlying belief that somehow things were better once, and that with just a little effort we could set them right again. If I had to say to you what the answer is, I would say massive bloodshed. Well, you're talking about the falsehood of utopianism, the false dream of utopianism. I mean, I agree with that, you see, I'm not denying that. In fact, I don't know, maybe did you comment on the right video, George? So yeah, I mean, I do caution against people like Marxists and that who say we can achieve utopia if we just wade through enough, trample over enough dead bodies, we'll get there eventually, you know, things like that. Or the nationalists, these sort of ultra nationalists who say, you know, just shut yourself off from the world. Again, that leads to disaster. But thanks. Right, you know, George Carlin's commented again on the same video, and he's deleted that one as well. But he says, I don't vote. 2 reasons. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold a long time ago. The shit they shovel around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. Secondly, and that's all I got because it's an email, it's just an email copy. George Carlin, 1822 to 1832. Wow. I don't know what's he mean. I think he was talking about oh, that bloke who was there was a bloke who was being aggressive and violent. Yeah. TT Boy says on Did Britain Start the World Wars? Damn the lies, the whole world vilified Hitler and Germany for false reasons, not to commit at Dunkirk, possibly ruined a chance to win, and he still did it. The 3 mo of not returning bombing sittings, the many peace offers playing today, the greatest travesty in modern history, damn. Well, that's a good summary of Nick's point. So yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, we have been lied to about the history of that war, and of World War II and World War One. They were both terrible atrocities, but it wasn't a good versus evil. It was very, very different, I think. I mean, I don't say it was the other way around, that Germany were good and the Allies were bad, but it was certainly much more balanced between the two. UFO disclosure, what about 2017, what about Britain? Malasquez Dowling says, oh, nearly run out. It is the government fucking with YouTube. I've heard this several times. But it's true though, Malasquez. I'll carry on in a moment. Got to change the film chip. Right, where was I? Yeah, YouTube messing with... Yeah. Is the government fucking with YouTube? I've heard this several times. Well, yes it is, in a word. Right, this is on Manchester again. Steve Crichton. Right, got it. Here we go. Oops. Oh, right, I just got to get this back on my clipboard because I was just copying the videos. Okay, it's almost up to the 3-hour point now. Another great walkabout bit, Ben. I had already seen your talk on skeptics. That's the longer version, yeah. Thanks, Steve. The Rendlesham case is a great example where there are multiple trained military observers, documentary evidence, the Holt memo, the Holt tape, and the renter skeptic says it was Orford Lesson Lighthouse. Well, they hadn't seen that before. Exactly. That's absolutely true. What's more, it was the wrong direction. It was. That's an important point. It's not the visibility of the Orford Ness Lighthouse from the point of from the Rendlesham Forest completely rules all this out. But because it's a non-ET explanation, it wins by default. And this is my entire point. So thanks, Steve. That's very true. Right, this is World Wars again. This is from right. This is from there's two people who've written here. I'm a history. This is from JP. Says I'm a history PhD. I've been researching the origins of the World Wars as well as the Crimean War and the Boer War for some 15 years, and there's no doubt in my mind that all four conflicts were initiated by Britain. Britain's strategy throughout has been to avoid a direct quarrel with the target country, but create instead, from behind the scenes, a local or regional conflict affecting the target country's legitimate interests and orchestrate the escalation of that conflict to a point where war is inevitable. This can always be spun by the media to make it look as if the target country was responsible. World War I was Britain's masterpiece, a complex work of art, some 40 to 50 years in the making. And Dr. Fan says underneath, JP, it's more effective to use proxies than your own weaker armed forces. It works like a dream. Britain uses ISIS in Syria and formerly had other proxies in our former colonies in exactly the same way. So thanks for both those comments, and JP, it's interesting seeing as you've got a doctorate in history, that you've looked into this and you agree with Nick. Thanks for commenting. I won't ask what your real name is because I know if you tell me it won't exactly be career enhancing for you, will it? To put it mildly. And JP, you're absolutely, and sorry, Dr. Fan 2004 is also correct. They're using the same methods today because if a trick works, why not keep using it? So World War I took 40 to 50 years to make. That's amazing. So they're planning these particular political strategies and these dirty little tricks for a long time before they actually happen. But 40 to 50 years? Blimey. JP, I'd be interested to know more. Please feel free to email me, bennyj74@gmx.co.uk. Link on the HPANWO TV blog. In the strictest of confidence, I'd love to know more. Right, 69 Phuket says on the Manchester video, I know it's old info, but if you'd alighted at Manchester Airport, there's a local bus that goes to Cheadle in less than half an hour. But then we wouldn't have seen the Canal Street area or Piccadilly Station. But on the other hand, lots of planes. Well, I wouldn't want to take that away from you, Phuket. I really wouldn't. So I'm glad I went to central Manchester. Now we have Roaring Water Bay demanding my hat again. Yes, I do need it, Roaring Water Bay. Otherwise I get sunburn on my head. Maybe you don't have as much sun in Colorado as we do in Oxford, but it does. It gets pretty hot. Manchester, Truth Movement Manchester, Jeff Hindley says here, Your professionalism stands out, Ben. Prepared, willing to travel as a commuter on public transport. The presentation, performance and focus impressive. Very interesting as always, well done. Thanks, Jeff, glad you liked it. There'll be more to come, I promise you. HPANWO ice cream. This is my second cookery programme. Let's see what people have to say about it. Seamal says, thanks, I might give it a go as I'm getting quite near the end of a Nutella jar. I'll see what you think. Hope you like it. Ray Leonard says, I want HPANWO ice cream. Well, go make yourself some. Let me know how you get on. Try using a different type of ice cream. See what you think. As always, this is different from the HPANWO yogurt. HPANWO yogurt is healthy and this is not, so don't have too much of it. I want to have LSD with you, Ben, and go to Stonehenge and solve the world's problems. You don't ask much, do you, Ray? I stick to the HPANWO ice cream for the moment. And on the same video, Jack Parker says, I just wondered, is ice cream good for radiation burns in a pinch? I don't know. I don't think it's been used at my hospital for that sort of thing. Jack also says, I just by chance have some Rocky Road cream in the freezer. Well, try that with it. Try that with the Nutella. You might find a new version of the recipe yourself, which you prefer. Let me know how you get on. I'll try it. And Jack also says, I'd like to try some ice cream with a Keshi foundation. I mean a cashew. Don't get those two mixed up, alright. One is a little nut which you mixed in with ice cream. The other is a thing that produces free energy. So, slight difference there. Jack Parker, I won't put any more tags on, here. Somebody said ice cream is strong enough to stop a missile. I don't know. It's not exactly a Syrian passport, is it? That can stop a missile. One has to be very fast in the craft department to figure out these recipes. What goes on behind the scenes to make these recipes come to fruition? It's quite admirable. Well, I could tell you that, Jack, but then I'd have to kill you. Cryptically speaking, of course. Right, so Manchester again. Alan Gildia. Alan Gildia says, I really enjoy your company, Ben. Thanks for all the hard work and passion you put into your content. If you're ever heading to Northern Ireland, perhaps with some Isles, let us know and we'll treat you some dinner and a few pints. Oh, thanks, Alan. I'd love to go over there and see you with Mr. Miles, if Miles is ever heading over there. I know, well, the prospect of a few pints and dinner will make it a dead cert on his part. So we'll head over there on the ferry. Just watch out for the scuttlers climbing up the side of the ship. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself there. Johnny Parker says on HPANWO ice cream. Ah man, Nutella is GMO crap, brother. It's so easy to make the stuff at home as well as ice cream. You just need raw cacao powder or cocoa powder, whatever you fancy. Cacao hasn't been roasted and contains more minerals, hazelnuts and a bit of oil and water. And sugar, of course. Oh, I'll give that a go, Johnny. Some of the old, some of the sort of like organic versions would be nice. Julian Carver says on HPANWO ice cream. Amazing, awesome, loving these cooking lessons, Ben. The kids will be having HPANWO ice cream for afters tomorrow tea time. My youngest, he's just turned 6. Ice cream is his favourite thing, so this will be great. Well, I hope he enjoys it, Julian. I really do, and I'm glad to have inspired him in that way. Russ Isaac says on HPANWO ice cream, comfort food. I've got to be careful. Don't have too much. Even if you're an ex-hospital porter, you can put on weight pretty quick. And there's a couple of things in the spam folder, which I'll just move. That's it. Right, Beetlejuice says, I'm gutted about the Mindset podcast to comment. Beetlejuice, yeah, I've written an article on this on the HPANWO radio blog, HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com. The Mindset podcast is gone. It's a long story, but I've written about it on there. Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. Helen Tucker says, Excellent stuff. Saves that tedious scraping out of the jar. You sweet nutcase. Thanks, Helen. Hope you enjoy your HPANWO ice cream. Boo Boo Peppy says on Did Britain Start with the World Wars? Thank you for uploading. You're welcome. I'm sorry people have to wait so long for these things. Right, new video, The Afterlife, a reply to Stefan Molyneux, and no one could be a better person to first comment on this video, apart from Doffler, of course, than Dazastar. Yes. Interestingly, where is Doffler? Is he all right? Has anyone seen him? Seriously, is he poorly or something? Dazastar said he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about on the subject. He bloody well doesn't, Daz. Dazastar knows about this, along with Steve Trueblue and Winston Wu and all these other people who I've spoken to on this issue. There's just a few comments under. Oh, there's a lot of comments in the spam folder. I just approve them all. Right. And Dazastar also says another thing skeptics do is reference religion to dismiss the afterlife as if it's a fairy tale. In other words, it's a weak argument and easy to get out clause to rebut. Well, I did actually feel that I was with Stefan on this particular issue. I did feel it was a bit like punching my way out of a paper bag, to be quite honest. But it needed to be dealt with. Right, I'm just going to change tags. Right, new tag coming up, blimey, so I'll just delete that one, and I'm going to have to write a new one. We're now at the 3-hour point in this video, I estimate. Bloody heck. It's a long one. This is definitely going to be the longest comments reply video I've ever done. Jack Parker said, Ghost can share space, Soul is a program, a bioelectronic program instead of computer chips, nanoscience is applied beyond plasma states. The experience of speaking to a person telepathically, which should be obvious enough if you can stay quiet for a moment, a new experience with tremendous empirical evidence. How is not the question, but if, has been their conclusion for many years, beyond our galaxy. Well, that's true, that's absolutely right. This is a scientific issue which Stefan hasn't looked into, exactly as he doesn't look into the UFO issue and the cancer cures issue, which I've tackled him on before. Jack Parker says, Stefan's lazy assessment and presuming to prove a negative without a tremendous amount of work. It's just like him putting his arms out and saying, come on. Right, same video. Lee Cook says, some religious folk would say believing in an afterlife makes you more accountable for earthly actions because at some point you will be judged. Well, there is that. There is definitely that indeed. It's true. I mean, it's the whole. Well, I don't know specifically. It may depend on the person's individual psychology. But Stefan is completely wrong, totally wrong, to generalise the way he does. Oh, what did I do? Damn it! I've just deleted something I want to delete. Oh, what have I done? Oh, damn it! Can I undo the delete on that? No, hang on. I don't think I'm. Oh, that's all right. I think. Sorry about that. I'll go through that video. I'll go through the video anyway. Now there's it's a big long discussion here with a thread started by Steve Trueblue. Atheists need to follow up David Thompson's physical medium. Through him, deceased people appear out of ectoplasm and are verified by relatives. Only 6 to 7 physical mediums can do this. Atheists' faith in logic is infantile. Logic only works if one knows all the assumptions at the outset. Atheists are generally avoiding real knowledge to make their logic useful. Absolutely, Stephen. This is my principal criticism of Stefan. And knowing Dasein replies, Dazastar gets into it, Tony Kenner gets into it, and what follows is a debate, I think, between Tony Kenner and Dazastar, which goes on for over 88 comments. Well, I'm glad to have given you food for thought, guys. I'm glad you've got into this. I'm not going to go through the entire conversation. This will be a 10-hour video otherwise. But you've certainly done a good job here, I must say. Right, where are we? Okay, I'm going to have to go to the deleted folder. I think I did actually delete a notice by accident. Can I undo that? I can't, I think. Oh, right. Anyway, so that's good. Tony Kenner, Dangerous Dan. Okay, this is Dangerous Dan. Oh, this is another long. Well, this is a slightly shorter thread, but it's got some people. Some other people commenting. Dangerous Dan says, Stefan is a pompous, condescending cunt. His thoughts are always correct, and any conflicting ideas are totally wrong. In all subjects, the know-it-all prick. And several other people said, Malcolm Browning, wouldn't attempt to argue with him. I agree. This is this pretty much. So a lot of support there for Dangerous Dan's comment. I think that's he can be pompous and condescending and a cunt or whatever, but. You're being slightly over the top here. He does change his mind. He sometimes makes videos saying why I was wrong about things like that. He makes even one of his callers changed his mind the other day. It was a religious woman, incidentally. It was about whether courage was the greatest virtue or love was the greatest virtue, and he changed his mind at the end of it. So I mean, he does sometimes. He can be logical and rational at times. But then he is also closed-minded. He also goes through phases where he is closed-minded, he is condescending and pompous, and he plays for the audience as well in that sense. If he gets someone calls in and he thinks he can take advantage of, he will do it, like he did with Fritz. So yeah, that's absolutely true. Right, Iman Pudama says on the same programme, Dazastar, yes, they conflate philosophy with dogma as if they're the same thing. They don't often realise that they have a metaphysical mission themselves. Yeah, they do. Well, this is the point. They have, you get phrases like, I said it, this is my Manchester talk. Atheists will say things like, atheism is not a religion, or no, atheism is not a religious belief system any more than the off switch is a TV channel. But I explained to you exactly why that's not the case. They deny logic. They even actively and knowingly suppress logical thought in order to maintain their worldview. So that's very true, Eamon. So you said it very well. Gavlov says on the Afterlife video, what about millions of years of non-existence before birth? Can clothing come back to life as much of ghosts as most ghosts have clothes on? I eat pizza and drink beer all day, every day, and hope to return to life to do it all again. Well, that's more than I know, Gavloft. I think ghosts do appear to have clothing on. People say, well, why do ghosts have clothes? That's kind of a bit of a skeptic kind of like cliche. But you have to wonder what ghosts are. Are ghosts what they appear to be? Or are they something else? In which case, maybe if they're images, why wouldn't they have clothes? Maybe it's some sort of residual self-image. The ghost I saw of my ex-girlfriend's father, he was wearing the clothes that he wore in his job. He was a bar manager at a hotel, and he wore a white steward's jacket. Now I saw him wearing that white steward's jacket. But why wasn't he wearing whatever he wore at home, a jumper and trousers or whatever, like a woolly jumper or a shirt or a t-shirt or something? Why didn't he wear that? I don't know, good question. Right. Malcolm Browning says here. Oh, and a comment that he's deleted. Rationalisation is going to be limited to the paradigm of the universe you think you're living in. Most people still rationalise the old Newtonian paradigm, which doesn't allow the myriad, and it cuts off. Malcolm, don't delete your comments. You say some interesting things, but but then you delete your comments, which is a shame. And he says, I wouldn't attempt to argue with him. He didn't delete that comment. Let's see if he's deleted this one. Yes, he has. Life and death, two sides of the same coin, different planes of existence, one semi-objective, the other subjective. Death doesn't really exist, no one dies, the material plane is a... And he's deleted that comment. This is very, very frustrating, because you say some interesting things sometimes. And now I'm going to skip through the debate with knowing Dasein. Oh, this is addressed to me. Sorry, this is a standalone comment. I'll try not to delete comments. I won't delete one links. Here we go. With all due respect, Ben, there's nothing to suggest that a widespread belief in the afterlife will have an uplifting effect on mankind. Billions already believe in one. More than likely, it would produce a nihilism and disregard for long-term thinking beyond compare. Well, I mean, I don't agree. I mean, this, again, it depends on individual psychology. The knowledge might affect different people different ways. A belief in an afterlife can motivate a suicide bomber to strap on a vest full of dynamite, okay? Which it does, quite regularly. But on the other hand, in the case of like Gordon with Montague Keane, it made him quite depressed. He did feel, I think, that his physical life was devalued as a result. In a sense, if you use the financial metaphor, if you live forever in eternity, in different life cycles, then your individual physical life is equivalent to an infinite money supply within an economy. So if you have like a pound, the value of a pound is changes with inflation. So with the money supply increases, the value of the currency is depleted. If you have an infinite money supply, then the pound is worth effectively zero, and all prices are infinite. So if you go into a shop to buy something, everything you want to buy will cost an infinite amount because you have an infinite money supply. But again, that depends on the individual psychology. So I don't accept what you've said here as universal, even though it might apply to some people. Dazastar. Right, this is part of the conversation, I think. Yes, this is part of the conversation which Steve triggered. Tony Kenner, Dazastar. Hold on, this is all right. I think this might be a standalone comment for me. I met my daughter before she was born and proved it to my family, so I know there is more. Theosophy is correct. Everything in the universe is evolving, like plants and animals. The next generation obviously comes from the ones before. It's called a spiritual evolution, since it spirals into higher direction, and therefore it's not random. That's interesting, Stew the Blue. Stew the Brew, me. Oh. I mean, I know people who've met people after they've died, but meeting someone before they're born, that's quite amazing. You managed to prove it as well to your family. I'd like to know more. Just email me. See my email on the HPANWO TV website. Right, Tony Kenner, Dazastar, Tony Kenner, Dazastar, Tony Kenner, Dazastar, Tony Kenner, Dazastar, Dazastar. Oh, there's no. These guys are quite happily toing and froing amongst themselves. You don't need me to wade in and stick my oar in, do you? Okay, so I'm just going to go through this. Tony Kenner, Dazastar. Right, oh, this is, I think, might be a standalone comment for me. Oh, this is, yes. Oh, blimey, this is a very long comment here. I don't have time to read all this. It's like a page. It's like a huge page here. After watching many videos on near-death experiences and listening to hundreds of professionals state their opinion, I feel a sense of obligation to finally share my experience. Oh, my ND happened over 47 years, struck by lightning in the telephone in my living room. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry I can't read all this out, but it would take me half an hour to read out your entire comment. I have to scroll down, it covers several pages. But the person who wrote it is called Tayamada21, and it's on the afterlife, a reply to Stefan Molyneux. If you want to go and read it yourselves, please do. Steve Drewblue, this is, I think this is part of the conversation he was having, yeah, part of his long conversation. Go to a David Thompson seance, I've met him. Your personal experience is all that matters. What white-coated priesthood say is irrelevant, they provide you second-hand experience. The white-coated priesthood, yeah, that's a good way to put it. And the Observer, oh, here we go, what's this here? Is this a standalone comment? Yeah, oh, here we go. His reincarnation show was a disaster. I can't believe he's so arrogant that he can claim something he has no evidence for. Talking about Stefan Molyneux now. Well, exactly. I mean, he was really just simply displaying his lack of knowledge, which is what I said. It's which is why I said Tony Kenner, Julian Carver. Here we go. I think I can tell the standalone comments from the others. I did like Stefan when first watching a few of his videos regarding politics. However, he seems to be deliberately skirting round sensitive subjects these days. When it comes to stuff regarding the paranormal, he just waffles utter shite, most of which he's making up on the spot. His online profile is too big now. He just keeps things tailored for mass subscribers. He's a sellout. I don't know if that's completely fair, Julian. I also prefer his political commentary, quite honestly. He's very good. His political commentary is very, very good. Very thought-provoking indeed. But when he comes to sensitive subjects, like when it comes to things regarding this, the paranormal, conspiracy theories, UFOs, etc., he does waffle up utter shite, to quote you. And he does make it, I think he does make it up mostly on the spot. He talks about things, like I said, he needs to learn what he's talking about, which is not easy because it's a big subject. There's no soundbite answers, as I've said. But if he's not going to do that, then he has to accept that he will be phenomenally easy to prove wrong to anyone who actually knows about it. The only people he's going to convince are other people who don't know anything about it. Julian Carver, right, who says here, I would like to see Stefan discussing UFOs with Lionel Nation. Lionel wouldn't let him get a word in, lol. I like it. I'd like to debate him myself. Right. Oh, Taki Zakura 123 is here. Right. Difficult to take the guy seriously after Feminism Lol's video talking about why he couldn't be president of America. Here's the link to a Finnish lady talking about the afterlife. Unlike Stefan, the bullshit content is zero. Was this the one with Feminism Lol? Was this the one where she's eating popcorn? Because that was quite funny. I like Feminism Lol. But I'll have a look at the link, Takura. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick look at this. It's quite a long one. All right. Oh, it's one that I subscribe to. Speaker Susanna Khalikaden. Well, I'd like to. Well, it's a video. It's 22 minutes long. I'll have to look at it another time. Steve Trueblue says, this is a part of his long. Yeah, this is a part of his long discussion. It's Tony Kenner, Dean Clifford. All right. So I just need to look at who the names are, and then I know I won't. A pretty good debunking of Stefan Molyneux, who makes himself out to be a knowledgeable person across the board, fitted with critical thinking skills every step of the way. If his handling of the afterlife concept is that bad, would you trust him in any other areas? I first heard Molyneux on Red Ice Radio a few years back, and he had problems with his thinking style right then and there. Like so many of us, I suspect that Molyneux is licking his wounds, only this time he's doing it in public and probably doesn't know how bad it can make him look. The question is this: why does Ben the J.O. Porter waste his time on this Molyneux fellow, who as far as I know might just as well be a shill for the House? Or at best, isn't Molyneux just an egotistical, self-serving self-publicist who's using his YouTube radio show as a coping mechanism? Well, that's a loaded question there, Dean Clifford Rant. By the way, you certainly live up to your name. As I said, I think he is knowledgeable and has critical thinking skills. But once he steps out of his area of expertise, he seems to be he flails around in a very amateurish way. I've not heard Molyneux on Red Ice Radio. I mean, I know that. I mean, they have similar ideas, so I wouldn't be surprised if he had been on there. But he's been on. I've seen him on the Joe Rogan show. That was interesting. The thing about him is he does have personal issues in his life. He has personal problems, which he speaks about very openly. And in fact, a lot of his early material it tended to be kind of self-help, psychology, therapy kind of based. That's it. Most of his early shows were about families and relationships and things like that. And he got into trouble actually because the media did a hit piece on him when he was talking to one young chap, a young teenager, and this was a British guy, a young teenager. And he was saying, and this teenager was saying how awful his family was, and he ended up leaving his family, abandoning his mother and father completely. And the media did a big hit piece on this, and then they blamed him. The family blamed him, and the media started blaming him. It wasn't fair, though. It wasn't. I've listened to the show. I don't think it's fair. Now, does he use it as a coping mechanism? Yes, he does. his Free Domain Radio is his coping mechanism, and he admits it. He talks about his problems. He talks about the fact that he had psychotherapy, and he said it's a wonderful thing for getting over the damage that family life can do to you. And well, I've done a couple of videos where I talk about my family life, and I can kind of sympathise with him. Especially because he and I both had an emotionally abusive mother. I've done a video about that. Now, is he I don't know, is egotistical? Why do I waste my time on him? Well, I don't think I'm wasting my time on him. I think when he says these things, when he goes into unknown territory and starts blundering about the place like a bull in a china shop, he needs to be brought into line, because people will believe him. There are too many people out there who will believe him, Dean. And those people need to understand that if they're going to take him seriously, they have to look into other areas and realise that Molyneux is not doing a good job in this particular case. But I mean, I'm more well disposed towards Stefan Molyneux than most of you who are actually commenting here, because I believe that he, inside his area of expertise, he's excellent. He's very intelligent, and he's very wise, and he's fascinating. But thanks for that comment anyway, Dean. That was a good comment. I did think that was good. I'm not. Malcolm Browning is probably. I'm not going to. Most of us don't fully appreciate or understand the real nature, largely because of misdirection or miseducation. It's not provable that we live in a material universe. You will have deleted that, Malcolm. I'm not even going to look to see if you've deleted it, because I know you will have done. Molyneux is either. This is Malcolm again. Molyneux is either giving out BS, or his powers of philosophising are lacking, or he's a shill. Well, it's actually the former, Malcolm. He's given out BS. His powers of philosophising are very good within limitations, and those limitations are his knowledge. The religion of materialism is tantamount to being a superstition. Yes, it is. It really, really is. And I wish you wouldn't keep deleting these comments, because your comments are really good, and I'd love to read more of them. Molyneux is saying the mind doesn't exist. Well, I don't know if that's his position. I mean, the idea that the mind doesn't exist goes to people like Susan Blackmore and Daniel Dennett. I don't know if he actually said that. I think Molyneux does go along with the Ayn Rand's idea. Ayn Rand was an atheo-materialist, but she did believe in the mind. She even uses religious metaphors like the soul. Now, denial. Malcolm has put a comment on denial. Denial, my film review of Denial. This is an old video I did before. And he's deleted it. You're interested to see whether the film contains any propaganda. You are kidding. It does contain propaganda, as I said. It really, really does. Right, Malcolm Browning has also put on other... I wish you'd keep these on, Malcolm. Well, I'm not totally sure what qualifies as an anti-Semite these days. It appears to be mentioning Jews is sufficient to qualify. Witness how Ken Livingstone has been treated for just recounting historical facts. Well, yeah, I did an article on Ken Livingstone. Yeah, I mean, he was quoting an author, a historian, who was talking about how Hitler tried to negotiate a Jews' exodus from Germany he wanted to set up a Jewish homeland, and this was actually Lenny Brenner was the name of the historian, and Livingstone quoted him, and then he started getting called an anti-Semite. Well, basically, an anti-Semite is basically anyone, according to the mainstream, an anti-Semite is anyone who talks about conspiracy theories of any kind, and it's an unfalsifiable accusation, and I've been called it myself, despite the fact I've repeatedly and comprehensively explained why I do not believe Jews have any blame at all for the New World Order. I'm still an anti-Semite, because I'm using code, you see. When you say Jews are innocent, you really mean Jews are guilty. When you see the Queen is a reptile, you mean she's a Jew. And it's all this bollocks. It's utter bollocks. Right, Helen Duncan, the most dangerous psychic in the world. Sydney Richard. Thanks. Why am I on the terms of... Oh, I'm here. I'll give it another 7 minutes and I'll change tags. I like your stuff, Ben. I see you've noticed that twerp Molyneux. Internet's Mr. Philosophy. If you check out the comments section to his great UFO debate, I dismantled his baseless arguments in a way you might enjoy. Ectoplasm, I have to confess my ignorance of the spiritual side of things. It's just a topic I've never prioritised. So I've heard of ectoplasm in old reports and seen not too convincing old photos, but nothing recent. Am I missing something? I just had a very quick look and got a very creepy looking guy doing something that could easily have been faked. Well, yeah, Richard, there is a lot of fake stuff out there. I mean, you do need to look deeper. But thanks very much. I'm glad you like my videos, and I'll check out your comments on the UFO debate on his YouTube channel. And I'll enjoy your dismantling of his baseless arguments. I hope you do it as well as I did. Look more deeply into the ectoplasm. As Steve Trueblood, look at his stuff about... he was talking about the physical medium that he's had experience with. There's Victor and Wendy Zamet as well. Their stuff is excellent. They're friends of Steve, and they do a damn good job of investigating this thing scientifically, because it is a scientific issue. Right, this is a comment on a VidMe video, which is on this particular video. It's Article 50, hooray! And the video is from Climate Ponzi Lie. Given that much of the EU is experiencing unemployment and several of them member states, I'll put it upcoming comments reply video on YouTube. No, I won't do that. No, because I won't bother with that. I'll try and keep my VidMe stuff separate. Much of the EU is experiencing unemployment. Several of the member states are struggling with economics. Why does the dictatorship of the Parliament of the EU continue to collect obscene amounts of money? Oh God, I don't know. It's awful. Climate Ponzi Lie goes on to explain more about makes more of the points that I made about the EU. The EU Parliament has been bleeding England dry, and now it wants to blackmail people of England for $60 billion. Well, yeah. Apparently Britain has to pay a fee to leave the EU. Article 50 includes a clause where we pay $60 billion. I suppose that's euros, not dollars, to the EU. And so Theresa May is going to try and sort that out, just pay our leaving fee. Well, I don't know, I'd say, well, why don't we just refuse to pay it? And what are they going to do, send in the bailiffs? Excuse me, England, you haven't paid your bill. I'll tell you what, we should stick our middle finger up at the European Parliament and say, we're leaving, we're not paying, goodbye. And if they try and come and collect their money, we'll meet them on the beach. We'll have a fully armed resistance meeting them on the beach, on the English Channel, and I'll be among them. So yeah, why the hell do we really? I mean, if you want to deal with this on a constitutionally legal issue, right, in terms of common law, on the lawful nature of the EU, or lack of it, Britain's entry to the European Union was an act of treason. You don't have a referendum on treason. You don't have an article in the EU constitution on treason. You simply rip up our membership papers, and you get the people who actually entered us into the EU, Ted Heath and all the others, and you hang them. That's what you do. But we have to go this ridiculous pretense that somehow the European Union is some kind of completely above board lawful activity when it never ever was. Unfortunately, Ted Heath's already dead, so you can't hang him. But maybe you can dig him up or something and throw stones at him. Right. So thanks for those comments. Right, now we come on to cancer cures. A reply to Stephen Molyneux. Oh, this is an older one. This is a comment that's been deleted. Right. Sandra John. Why has this really been deleted? Hang on. Maybe I'm just not getting the link or something. Was it? Oh, it's in the bloody... Damn it. Well, it's hang on. It was in the bloody spam folder. Oh man, oh dear. Does that mean what Malcolm Browning stuff's gone? I'll have to go back to Malcolm Browning stuff now. I'm pleased to inform the world about a great herbal doctor who can cure a deadly disease like cancer, etc. And then she gives her email and stuff like that. Sandra John. So thanks. Hang on, I'm just going to check out the other stuff that has been going on here, because I think I've effed up. One moment. Let's just... because Malcolm Browning, I'm sorry, if you, have you actually has some of your stuff gone to the spam folder? No, he has deleted it, sorry. That was just that one occasion. Okay, Malcolm Browning has been deleted in his comments. Right, Shamaniacs says on Afterlife, oh, that's part of that conversation with Steve and the others. Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Alzheimer says on Afterlife. What am I doing for time? Right, time for another tag. Selective truth snippets, no matter how true, to defend a certain angle, ignores the greater picture. Truth parallax. Well, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, you look at different angles. Truth parallax. Azailamet is a real poet and has an amazing way of illustrating things in the way he talks, and subconsciously ignores the faults, potentials behind its own back. This is the remit of people like Stefan. That's why people strongly follow them, quite like a religious leader, and the leaders enjoy the following. Stefan does have an ego, and I mean, he'd be the first to admit it. You know, Stefan is very, very introspective and self-reflective. He would know this, and he does. Maybe it's natural. Maybe that's how all of us are in a way. You know, I mean, when people put comments on saying they like what I do, I get a warm feeling from that, and so maybe that's a part of it. As I met. Steve Trueblue, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Steve Trueblue, Tony Kenner. Right, HPANWO Ice Cream. Mr. Cutsy has commented on HPANWO Ice Cream. Gutted the Mindset podcast has finished. What happened, Ben? Really enjoyed that show. I know, Mr. Cutsy. I've talked about it on. Have a look at the HPANWO radio blog. I have, and I don't know all the answers right now, but we're starting off third rail radio, okay? Because we're replacing the old Mindset team. We've got together and we've produced a new station called Third Rail Radio. We're going to do our first broadcast very soon. Okay, so I'm very sorry about that, but we're going the team that want to continue are going to continue under a new station. All right, so it's all on the HPANWO Radio blog. Right, YouTube problem. Perfect Circles, as written here. YouTube has now been taken over by a Jew. Look up and see who's the CEO. All right, the Jews again. We're back to the Jewing. Look, Perfect Circles, I've said this to other people, and I'll say it to you. The Jews are not behind the New World Order, okay? I've done a radio show about this on HPANWO Radio. I've done articles about this. I explain why I believe that Jews are innocent. This hasn't stopped me being called an anti-Semite, of course, but I'm still going to say it because I think it's true. Right, Jim Crow says in the World Wars video... Jim Crow, where on the bus are you sitting, Jim? You say Britain. What do you mean by Britain? The Zionist Masonic deep state. The Jews have been pulling the strings in Britain since the Rothschild took over the Bank of England. All right, look. It's not the Jews, it's the Illuminati, Jim. I've done a radio show called Jews on HPANWO Radio. Go to HPANWO-radio.blogspot.com and just search for Jews and you'll find it. I explained to you why I think the Jews are not behind the New World Order, okay? Zionism and Judaism is different. Zionism and Freemasonry is different from Jews. Okay? Great. Right. Right, don't eat Pringles. I haven't had a comment on that for a while. Right, Mainframe says, wow, I was aware of some of the ploys of the pharmaceutical industry, but I was unaware of this Codex Alimentarius malarkey. Yeah. That's it. They that's you have to watch that video to see what it says. Right, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs. Tony Kenner. I'm glad you're having a good conversation, you guys. Shamaniacs. Right. D. Sanders. This is Helen Duncan, the most dangerous psychic in the world. Thank you. Very interesting. Very complete for someone like me who's never heard of this woman. Blessings. I'll just put a thank you on there. You're welcome. Oops. I'm getting tired. You're welcome. D. That's nice. Right, here we go. Right, Helen Duncan. Red pill of Matrix. You are 100% right. Oh, thanks. Put a little smiley face there. Glad you think so. That's a long video, so I mean, even I wouldn't say I was 100% right in that, but I'm glad you like it. Steve Trueblue, Tony Kenner, Steve Trueblue. Oop. Doffler. Right. I want to know where have you been? Random. Oh! Doffler's changed his name. I'm not sure. Does he want me to say what his new name is? Because I've noticed, I've been reading out comments from a user with a different name, and it seems that it's Doffler in disguise. I won't say who that user is until I get his permission. Doffler. Have you changed your name? I wondered where. I know where you'd gone. Oh, so that's odd. Okay, well, I'll get to the bottom of this. I wonder where Doffler was. And apparently he's there, but he's got a different name. Tony Kenner, Steve, Tony Keller, Steve, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Steve, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Steve, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner, Tony... Right. Right, this is... Someone's put a comment on there. Which is someone This is someone I should have blocked. This is someone I'm not going to reply to. It's actually Tristan Swale. I'm going to delete this comment because based on my advice from my solicitor, I have been advised not to speak to Tristan Swale. I mean, I've talked about this before. This is the guy who, again, called me an anti-Semite. He called me a racist. He called me all kinds of stuff. So I'm removing that comment. He posted on the Denial film. I'm removing that. Right, this is... Oh, what's this? I don't know. Right, Mainframe says on World Wars. Right, this is a part of a conversation started by Edwardian Lady. Mainframe says... Alright, here we go, yeah. Paulie Mack. Germany was a nation with a relatively new contract with Britain and the UK through England. Has far more blood on its hands. You notice the word Holocaust was first used to describe Richard I's massacre of the Jews in London. I bet you didn't even know that. No, I didn't. That's interesting. What follows here is a conversation between Mainframe, Sinisa Majestic and Paulie Mack. The baby impaling shit was just propaganda. Yes, it was. I've talked about that. Where basically the Germans were demonised on the eve of during the July crisis in 1914. They were accused of murdering young babies in a most awful way. I talked about that in the film, the World Wars movie. It was fake news. It was a complete construct. Yet it was in all the newspapers and people believed it, and it motivated the British Expeditionary Force that went over to Belgium, and what resulted in military terms the worst war the world has ever seen. You know, almost 5 years later, after 21 million soldiers had been killed, they suddenly realised, oh, it was all a big farce. Sorry, it was all a lie. It wasn't real. Too late by then, isn't it? Right, Shamaniacs, Sinista Majestic. All right, that's the. Oh, this Sinista Majestic doesn't believe what Nick Colstrom is saying. Here we go. I've already put in like a tag for that. What a disgrace! It was. Here we go. Sinista Majestic doesn't believe. Give me a break about poor Germans. They're anything but. This Colostrum guy has specific narrative and is not interested in the truth. Well, actually, if you think he's wrong, then explain why. Because there's no actual. You're not actually putting in an argument there. You're just that's relative. I can say anything. I can say anyone not interested in the truth, but I don't have to explain why. Then it's a groundless assertion. It can be replied to with a groundless assertion. Dick could reply, "Well, I think you're wrong. I think I am interested in the truth, and I have a specific and I don't just have a specific narratives, and I'm going to talk about poor Germans." And they'll say, well, why? I'll say, well, why are you asking why? You never gave a reason, so why should I? Anyway, it seems as if Paulie Magic and Mainframe do take him to task on that, so I don't really need to. This is the comment. I see Tony Kenner is still at it with Steve. Right, UFO disclosure 2015. I know it didn't happen. Right, this is, we're getting towards the end now. It's just 6 days ago. What am I doing for time? Do I need a new tag? No, not yet. Oh, 49 minutes, is it? I need a new tag, don't I? Yeah, sorry. I think I've lost track of things. Hang on. I'll use the new tag. Here we go. Yeah. If I get it, I do say approximately. Okay, so if I get any timings wrong, just look maybe quarter an hour before or after, and you'll find it. You'll find out what things are. Anyway, so now, Beautiful Missia says there will be no year of disclosure anytime soon. At least you agree Greer is a charlatan. There will be no disclosure. The beings you talk about disclosing will not allow it to happen. What would constitute disclosure anyway? Just the government saying aliens are real? Everyone knows that. Well, look, just the government saying aliens are real does constitute disclosure with a capital D. However, there's other definitions. There could be proof, or scientific proof that extraterrestrials are real. Well, the Star Child skull could constitute that. The various research into alien abduction could constitute that. So yeah, I mean, I know the term of disclosure has several different definitions, and yes, if everyone knows that, then yes, you could say we've already had disclosure. The government coming out and saying it is like Stephen Greer, Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, those guys, the exo-politicians, is their definition, basically. Right, Shamaniacs, Mainframe on Britain. Yeah, that's okay. I won't go into that series. That's a comment. This is right. Steve Trueblue. Is this part of his conversation? If not, I will. Yes, it is. Must be getting towards the end of it now. Mainframe says on her HPANWO screen. Okay. Great stuff, but personally I'm not eating Nutella ever again. There are some videos on YouTube where it's been left in a temperature that will allow for the oil to separate, and the amounts of oil they contain is staggering. Well, this is something that someone else said, actually, Mainframe, because someone else was advising me not to eat the stuff because it's not good for you. So that's alright. Maybe that's the case. Yeah, that's true. Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Shamaniacs, Tony Kenner, Tony Kenner. Steve Trueblue, Sitchin has done. Alright. Is this part of the comment? Yeah. This is part of their discussion. I'm just double checking. I don't want to delete standalone comments. Right, this is Asylum and Outland on the Manchester video. God, what's the time? Interesting video, Ben. There's a difference between a skeptic with a K and skeptical and with a C. Skeptical is a fixed position like left and right. Wig stances in their staggered variation. To be skeptical with a C is a fluid application of reasonable doubt about something situation. Similar problems emerge in doubt, which actually conflates two different understandings. That of doubt with the skeptical with a K, retiring type of doubt, and then we have the skeptical with a C, inquiring doubt. That's a good way to put it, Xylomare. Well done. The former skeptic with a K doubt is endemic in the left-right alt post-modern thinking and simply leaves people addled-minded. That's true. The latter type is acute and has the ability of focusing consciousness without such parallax. You've got a good way of putting these things, mate. That's very, very well described, I must say. I wouldn't have thought to say it like that. Shamaniacs. Oh, there we go. Ditch the tinfoil hat. Right, this is my most recent YouTube video. Jawn is a big fan of the Mighty Neck, says, ha ha ha. And what follows is a discussion between Jawn and 69 Phuket, where they say various things here. Well, I'm glad you found that funny, Jawn, I must say. Phuket, ha ha ha. Okay, this is a conversation between these two guys. Now, is this a part of the conversation, or is this another one from 69 Phuket? No, that's part of the conversation. Jawn, Snarnock. Here we go. Right, I think this is a standalone. The Bilderberger conference is another huge form of conspiracy theory that has become fact. And how many of these do they need in order to prove that we are right? As you say, the skeptics never define the point at which the line is drawn for some reason. That's true, Snarnock. In fact, the Bilderberg Group was founded in 1954. And it was founded, and during nearly all of its meetings, it's met every single year since then at luxury hotels, without any media coverage at all, completely secret. But then it was only in the 1980s that people like Jim Tucker, who in Spotlight magazine, they started writing about it, and protests and investigation began. First, it was only Jim Tucker and his dog basically used to turn up, and then more people started coming along. It culminated in the event I attended a few years ago in Watford, the Bilderberg Fringe Conference, and then the media got on top of it. So in a sense, the Bilderberg Group began as a black organisation. It's been slowly dragged into the grey area. It's not quite a white organisation like the G11, but it is. It's been forced to basically come out of the closet and to become at least have a limited public face. It even has an official website. It only has about 6 pages on it, but it's still, it's still under Chatham House rules. But it's become almost like the Ditchley Foundation now in terms of its public profile, and it's thanks to researchers like Jim Tucker and people like that that's happened. So that's true. This is a proof about. This is again, and that's not the only conspiracy theory that's become fact. I mean, look at Jimmy Savile. Look at Hillsborough. Look at the Vault 7. That's an interesting thing. Right. Jack Parker said, on Ditch the Tinfoil Hat, I couldn't help but notice Cohort in The Adventure on the Waters with a bit of smug expression as he went into renditions of penile observations. Could it be that he was thinking, Ben, they're looking at us? Oh, that's the. I was talking about the sexual symbolism in the architecture again. I don't know what's Cohort. And the smug expression. I'm not gay, all right, if that's what you're suggesting. I don't know where this idea that I'm gay comes from. I'm straight as a poker, I swear it. If it was meant to be a parody, the penile observations was a smash. All right, well, what I'm saying is that I was not joking, even if you found it funny. The One Canada Place in Canary Wharf, the former tallest building in Britain before the Shard was opened, is a obelisk. It's an Egyptian obelisk, and this is a male sexual symbol. It is, honestly. Right, D. Sanders said, I love your kitty's hat. Oh, that's not me. That's not me, D. That's just one of these tinfoil hat memes that everybody uses. And the closing titles I used a picture of the tinfoil hat lady, who is a good friend of mine actually. And Edwardian Lady says, amusing video, thanks Edwardian Lady. Depressing to see what the developers have done to London though. I know it's as I say, it's starting to look more like Dubai. And a lot of the traditional East End culture's gone now, The Dixon of Dock Green stuff, you just don't see it. It's all been swamped, it's all been built over by these huge office blocks and things like that. It's totally, there's no place for the humans, for the human factor, the local human level. It doesn't exist anymore. Steve Trueblue, is this a part of his? I think this might be. Is this the last? No, it's not the last. He's still debating with those guys on the Stefan Molyneux video, The Afterlife. Jack Parker says, I have to say tinfoil not only is an excellent cooking tool, it shields out solar heat radiation very excellently. It may also be good for signalling UFOs in a pinch. Well, this is interesting. And Lemsip says underneath, I'd rather wear a tinfoil hat than a sheep hat. I've noticed they were in fashion a few years ago. I don't think that was a coincidence because around the same time truth started to become the mainstream. Well, the point is, does it actually work? That's the question. Is it possible that tinfoil hats actually are effective? I wonder. Because essentially they are essentially radiation blockers. If they surround your head, at least the top of your head where your brain is, they may actually be effective. They act as maybe a Faraday cage. Or do they need an earth wire or something to be a Faraday cage? I'm not sure. So perhaps they are effective. Right, ditch the tinfoil hat. Orange Herbert. Orange Sherbet. Orange Sherbet says, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That's very true. And you know, that's something you can fire back at the. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's something you can fire back at the skeptics when they make their own smug little comments. Dangerous Dan says, I was looking forward to watching this last night, but you removed it. We'll watch it later if it's still on. Well, Dan, I've re-uploaded it. All right, look, I actually, this is a re-upload. The original version I uploaded, I had to take down because I basically messed up. I got the scenes in the wrong order and things like that. And it was about an hour later I realised it was wrong, so I took it down, I re-edited it, and I re-uploaded it. It was uploaded just a couple of hours later. It was back up. So I wasn't censoring it or anything, but well, you commented on the video, so now you can see that it's back on. Right, Dr. Dead Lem says on Afterlife, Stefan's personality doesn't seem like he would be able to see the spirits. I've communicated with my dead uncle and also asked for verification. I was quite surprised. It was not by chance. There's quite a bit of research on this. I would highlight work done by Dr. Brian Weiss and Dr. Craig Hogan. There's a few other researchers, and these people are quite reputable. The only way to find out is to enter and communicate with spirits. Surprisingly, there is technology built to communicate with spirits. I've heard those names before, Dr. Ted Lem, but I've not looked into them, but I will do. And you're right, there is serious research being done into this, and there is technology being built to communicate with spirits. I mean, it's a little known fact, but John Logie Baird, the man who developed television, was very interested in psychical research, and the TV was actually adapted from a design he built for a kind of for a form of EVP. Well, what's the alternative? What's the thing with the visual thing? It's like the TV. Remember that film White Noise? What's it called? The spirit box, the electronic spirit box. It's got a name. I can't remember, or an acronym. I can't remember what it is. But anyway, Baird was actually working on one of those, and he got the idea for the television from that. So, and this is continued. There's a guy called Professor Gary Schwartz who's built electronic devices to communicate with spirit. So thanks for that comment, Dr. Lem. Dave Flick says on the World Wars. Pi Ben, it's been a long time since I last heard you. Regarding the Czech bloke, his history is based on propaganda. History is written with the best story of the victors. Nick's a good guy and well educated. He needs to overcome his shyness. Well, Nick he's pretty good. I mean, this old git was the guy who kept it going for me. I talked about it. He was a really the only thing wrong with Nick's speech was the atmosphere that was created by the other people there. It was a bloody pain in the arse, that was. There was these real dickheads, these bunch of people who were watching him, yeah. Right, ditch the tinfoil hat. Delesquez says less than 1% of people believe Bigfoot lives in England. Well, life is not an election, Diego. Okay, why are you posting it here? This is my ditch. This is my tinfoil hat video. Post it on my Bigfoot video. I explained why I think Bigfoot lives in England. Even explain to me. Don't explain to me why I'm wrong. Don't say, well, Ben, you're in a minority. You know, you're in a minority of 1%. Okay, so Matthew Taylor says on The Afterlife. Real smarty pants, isn't he? He is, yes, he's a bloody smarty pants. So that's Matthew Taylor. Matthew Taylor says there. Oh, Roaring Water Bay is back. Everybody becomes a believer in the afterlife about 1 second after being on the wrong side of eternity. Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today and forever. Hebrews 13:8. Oh, I don't know my Bible very well, Roaring Water Bay. I do have a Bible, and yeah, you can have it if you want. May I have your hat? Says Roaring Water Bay. No, you may not. Julian Carver says on Ditch the Tinfoil Hat. on 4 days ago now, so we're getting close to the end. Interesting upload, Ben, thanks. Not always good to hear skeptics' views of conspiracy theorists, the way Lionel Nation puts it. Quote, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy analyst. Me too. If it's got a healthy amount of circumstantial evidence, then it's worth further investigation. It certainly is. Gavloff says, I wear tin foil around my penis and balls. Right, well, maybe that's where your brains are, Gavloft. Martin Fleischmann dies. Oh, I've had another comment on this old video. My goodness. You might like to know that this month and next, a team of scientists are looking into to validate the low-energy nuclear reaction device in the Czech Republic, ironically enough, and in India. The Czech Republic, that's where Martin Fleischmann came from. It's been carried out by MFMP, Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project. Details of the validation are here, along with other projects. Well, thanks, that's interesting, Slanny Eye. I'll look into that. That's pretty keen to see. Thing is, this often happens. There was a team in Italy that actually did verify Fleischmann's work, Pons and Fleischmann's work. But of course, you don't. What happens is you get a moment's publicity and then it just dies down because the media are very careful. The cover-up's continuing in the media, you see. Right, don't hold you. Right, Matthew Taylor says on UFO disclosure. What about Britain? Don't hold your breath, Ben. I don't think it will happen. We will never get anything from governments. Only when governments fall will all the leaks come out and people lose their jobs who held secrets for decades working in the government military, and then I think it will happen. Well, that's it, Matthew. I mean, I think disclosure with a capital D can only happen as part of this general transition. I mean, and it might not be very simple, and it certainly won't be very pleasant, I don't think. You see, there's a part, I'm split over this, as I've explained before, but I do think it's unlikely you can actually see the President or Prime Minister or whatever standing there and just saying, oh yeah, they're real, we forgot to tell you. Not a fan of Churchill, says Matthew Taylor on the same video. He was a bloodthirsty warmonger with Zionist interests. That's, yeah, I mean, I mentioned that Winston Churchill was investigating UFOs as early as 1942, at least. Right, Doffler, using his original name, has commented on my VidMe video, Go to Hell, Tony Blair. Tony Blair is a war criminal and so is George Bush. Very true, Doffler. That's it. I won't read out his new name, but he's using his new name now. Because the comment had his old name in, but when I got there it was his new name. And Doffler has said here, Ramonas won't stop trying to stop our people's Brexit. Okay, I'll just reply to him. I'll upvote that comment and I'll just reply, thanks, Doffler. I'm doing a reply video on YouTube. Go to hell, here we go, and there's another one. Doffler is doing his traditional by putting lots of comments on. UKIP caused the Conservatives to offer people a referendum in the first place. Well, yeah, I've explained this before. They were trying to head off they were trying to get this referendum so that people wouldn't vote for UKIP. That's true. Here we go. All right. Doffler also says Tony Blair reminds me of the Joker, a sick and sarcastic demon. He does, but do you mean the Heath Ledger one, not the Cesar Romero one? He was very good. Here we go. My tea's gone cold. Trump and Brexit are connected. Yes, they are, Doffler. Right, UFO disclosure. Truth or Greer? This is one from last year. Blimey, I haven't had a comment on there for a while. And this is like a long. This is beautiful. Mike here says, there's a lot here. I've illustrated the fake alien high energy probe. Look at this photo, being of light. Oh, beautiful Mike here is saying basically how he or she doesn't trust Greer. Greer's not anti jack shit. I've addressed this in the actual video, but I talked a little bit about this in the video. But yeah, I mean, I don't trust Greer. I really don't. And This is very long. These are very long comments here, but do check them out on UFO Disclosure, Truth or Greer. I'm just going to approve these. This is only. Here we go. That's it. So this is Helen Duncan, the most famous psychic in the world. I've had a lot of comments on this old video for some reason. Victoria Wilt said, very interesting video. I think her problem was passing on sensitive info during wartime. I say thanks, Victoria. Yes, that was her problem. Alright. George Carlin says on Afterlife, a comment he's deleted, Stefan Molyneux is a disgusting, inhuman racist. That's not fair. He's not that. That's so completely over the top. Now, I'll leave that. I've got some spam there. All right. All right. Oh, I'm coming towards the end now. Okay, I'm coming towards the end. That's good. Okay. This is it, right. So I'm getting comments from other people now. Delane has replied to my comment on this other video here. That I see I had we were talking about computers. For some reason Delane replied on some of my videos and then that was the end of it. We didn't hear any more. Okay, now we're coming on to comments now that I've made since I started doing this video. So these are replies to some of my comment tags that I've been talking about during the course of this video. Some people have actually already commented on them. So HUCF says, cheers Ben for putting the comment thing in Supernatural Oxford. There's some spam. Spooky Mim says, can't wait Ben, I'm a big fan of your videos. Love your beard, you should have kept it. All right. So these are comments that people are making since I started making this video and they got the tags. John Smith says, don't bother you babbling twat. Right, so you basically, what you're saying is you have no answers for me then, do you? You're calling me names now because you put a 4-word comment, no aliens, just military. I explained to you why you're wrong and you abuse me. Twat. You're a twat. Ed Kaler, okay bud, alright. That's so I'm replied to comment, that's it. And then Dr. Fan says on the World Wars, JB, create proxy army, they can be expendable. It worked then and now is in Syria. That's very true. There's some spam. Where am I now? I'm sure. Oh, we're nearly at the end now. And then the sun is in the wrong place. Imaru System says, in response to the idea of the Nibiru doesn't exist, which was early on, it's not in your imagination, dude. It's really happening. And what are you noticing is real, crazy? I think about this often. And here's another one. Right. Oh, here we go. Oh, there's a bit more. There's a bit more. Sorry. Thanks, Ben. Great interview with Larry Warren last night on HPANWO Radio. Thanks, Clausum. I didn't know you were opposed to Dazzastar, but there's one point I'd like to make. Here we go. Oh, hi. It was to both of you. It was to both of you. Smiley face. Okay. I don't know if you're applying to Dazzastar, but there's one point I'd like to make, and I made it in a comment to Stefan Molyneux on a recent vid. He didn't reply. There's one thing to be said for rational materialism, metaphysical naturalism, physicalism, whatever, and that is if it's false, and that consciousness cannot be reduced to physics, then it's hard to imagine how it manages to interact with the physical world. This is essentially problematic for the concept of free will, I think. But it's a problem for supernaturalism generally. I think it's ironic that the strongest support for materialism is a metaphysical argument. The empirical evidence is vastly exaggerated. I don't think there is even much evidence that natural selection can build animals. Of course, I think there are also strong philosophical arguments against materialism too. Anyway, if you choose to address this comment, I certainly don't mind if you see it. It's not as concise as it could be, but I think you'll probably get the gist. Thanks. Thanks, E-Man. That's interesting. I'm sure you and Dazza Star would be interesting to respond to that. I'll check out your which Molyneux vid was it actually? If it's you're right though, if consciousness cannot be reduced to physics, then this is part of the hard problem of consciousness. Okay, because it is something that does interact with the physical world, not least with our brains, because it's like we have thoughts. You can control your thoughts. Your consciousness can control your thoughts, and those thoughts can have enormous effects on for instance, on your body. Your body is altered by your thoughts. Your thoughts can create changes in your body, such as the fight or flight mechanism or sexual arousal. But how does your body know what your brain's thinking, and how does your brain know what your consciousness is intending? Things like that. So it's interesting. That's an interesting comment. Thank you very much. David White says, which comments reply video do you speak of? Oh God, what? Oh dear, we go. It'll be uploaded in a few. It'll be uploaded in a few. It's this one now. I'm recording. Uploaded in a few hours. I hope that clarifies things, David. Malcolm Browning, the focus. Malcolm Browning is the guy who keeps deleting his videos. And this is where I talk about sleep. Oh, so this is a new comment that's been put on by. Oh, this must be someone actually watching the video at the moment. This is on Afterlife. Regarding your experience with sleep paralysis, I suggest that you get yourself tested for sleep apnea, because that's often the reason behind it. Sleep, yeah. That is caused when your breathing shuts off. Now, I haven't had all the symptoms of sleep apnea. I mean, it's one of the things where you can't breathe properly when you're asleep. So yeah, I will maybe. Well, I could do, but I mean, I don't have a lot of the other symptoms, such as continuously waking up in the night. You wake up every couple of hours in the night. I do sometimes wake up 2 or 3 times in the night, but I don't think that's abnormal. I snore loudly. That's another symptom of sleep apnea. But I don't know. Maybe you can go on and do sleep studies, and they'll check you for sleep apnea. There's all kinds of things you can do. Right. 69 Phuket says, I know it's old info, but if you'd alighted at Manchester Airport... Okay, where are we? Oh, he's deleted it. He says, and I was, and probably a few others, quite drunk. I can't remember or want to remember. Please factor that into your reply video. All right, Phuket, I will. And don't worry, we all have a few bevies now and again. I have done videos when I'm drunk before. Okay, Doffler sent me a message. I was never gone, but always watching. Lol. That's good to know, Doffler. I'm glad you're still around. And Doffler has also replied on the VidMe a comment on on my Go to Hell Tony Blair video on VidMe. Well, of course, my good man. I just said I told him I'm doing a reply video, so now he knows. So this is going to be uploaded in a few hours. Well, you've already seen it, so you know it's going to be uploaded because it's been uploaded. And finally, Doffler says, well, of course, yeah, okay. So that is all the videos. That's all the comments. I'm just going to. Oh, blimey, I'm knackered. So, all right, it was a long time coming, but this comments reply video has been done. And I'm sorry it was so long. It's been 6 weeks. I tried to do one a month. It's been over 6 weeks. And that's because of everything else going on in my life. Please do watch it. I'll be doing some more things coming up. I don't know when or where. Whether I've got time to do a video next week, I'm not sure. But I'm certainly planning one for next Friday, which will be uploaded probably on next Sunday. I might do one before then. I'm sorry that's a long wait before your next video, but I've got so much else to do. But I might be able to slip another one in, actually. I'll just see what I'm doing, because it's Syntheo's coming up. I might do a Syntheo's themed video, like I did last year. And I'll do that sometime next week. But I'll find out. I'll let you know. Okay. Well, you'll know when it's uploaded. But thanks for all your comments, everyone. And thanks for watching. And I'll see you again soon. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.